Grape.
Grape. It is great. Look at you.
Yeah,
grape.
It's grape.
Fucking nailed it.
That's where I got it. I looked
We're
at
live? Ron White, we're live.
Oh, we are?
Yes, sir.
Well, what a fancy beginning.
That's how I do it. I like to be professional. Cheers, my brother.
Cheers. Cheers.
Good to see you.
Good to be here, man. Good to be here.
Delicious. Good to see you after that mentally intensive carbohydrate versus fat. I'm done.
You genuinely came out of there looking exhausted.
It was a rough debate. They were going back and forth. They didn't like each other. They were mocking each other a little bit, but hopefully people got some information out of it. Two good guys. They just different positions.
They don't see eye to eye, Joe.
Nope. What are you going to do?
What are you going to do? Hear them out.
Exactly. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Ron White. So, apparently, Ron White, you have a mugshot that we can add to our collection.
Yeah, I'll get one over here. I'll have it framed and send it on up.
Fuck yeah.
I'll make sure it's small enough to put on that wall out there, so it'll be a pretty big one. I'd like to have a pretty dominant spot over at the
Tell me what you need.
Experience.
I'll give you a fucking 6 foot tall one, brother.
All right. That's it. 6 foot tall, life size.
Yeah, get it printed. Fuck it.
Yeah, it was a bad picture.
Yeah.
They were really bad.
So we're talking about this. This is you got busted for weed. Somebody ratted you out that there was weed on your plane.
They didn't say there was weed on my plane. They said it was a drug smuggling plane.
Oh.
And so there's a hotline that you can call, and they're just pilots that I'd fired, and so I'm just sitting on the plane looking out the window, and there's drug dogs and people in vests and machine guns, and I'm like, what's going on out there? Well, but, as soon as they determined that that's not what it was, that I just had some personal weed, that obviously somebody called in and lied, instead of going in and arresting that guy, they took me to jail. That makes no sense at all. And then in the newspaper, the sheriff goes, well, he might not have had much pot with him, but who knows how much he did have. And who knows I didn't kill somebody. How about we just put me up for murder right now?
Yeah.
If we need no evidence at all.
Who knows he didn't steal? Larceny. How about that?
Something.
Something.
They drove by... in a pit, they drove by 3 meth labs and a dead hooker just to get to my plane. And really the funny part of it was the next day we were going to go somewhere else in Louisiana, and but then now I've got just weed we can get rid of. That's all we can do because they might do it again. Next night, next place, more drugs. So now we've got an apple we're smoking out of. There are 2 of them on horseback, and Alex feeds the apple to one of the horses as he's walking by. Here, take this little apple.
So they tried to check your plane again?
They did check it again, but we just had come up with this little plan that we would. And he also had to eat a little bag of weed, and he was really stoned on stage and really stoned. But we didn't go to jail that night.
Well, if you eat just eat weed, will it get you high?
Yeah, absolutely will. It takes a while, but it was a big old chaw of it. I mean, it was a big old lip full, cheek full.
I'm surprised people don't chew weed. Like there's no one out there chewing.
It tastes like ass, dude. Which is why nobody eats weed. Even the cookies, they gotta watch it to keep them tasting bad.
There is a growing number of people who juice the leaves and drink it. Yeah, like wheatgrass juice, they do it with the leaves of cannabis plant.
I've seen people squeeze it to get the concentrate out to do.
No, I think they're sticking in one of those masticators. Is that what they're called? Those things that make like wheatgrass. Like they can get juice out of fucking grass.
It makes sense if you could get it out of. I mean, if you could get it out of grass, you could get it out of any plant, right?
It doesn't get you high.
Yeah, you don't get high though. So it's like getting the CBD out.
Then what's the point?
For health, Ron.
Oh, yeah. It's like O'Doul's pot.
To tell you what's not bad, the Heineken shit that we got, we have Heineken 00, whatever the fuck it is. It does not taste bad. It's very good. It's got no alcohol in it.
None.
But it tastes good.
So you don't get that annoying buzz.
I know.
That
No, you don't get none of that.
Yeah, because you guys had that soccer Sober October, and it looked like you were having a blast. I have to admit, sitting from the sideline, that, oh, boy, this sober thing looks like a blast. And I did have a November to remember.
Yeah, we had November. Yeah, Sober October is interesting. It's good to do every year. I like to do it. You think you'd ever do it?
Nah, I don't think I could.
How many days do you think you take off?
Really not one, and be very happy about it. I mean, I've got a little touch of alcoholism that someday I'll either deal with or I won't. But it's a maintenance thing with me. So
a maintenance as far as keeping your mindset correct, just feeling good. Like, what is it?
Yeah, it's just
not give a fuck juice.
I don't know. It's just something that I seem to require. I can't wait for that first drink of the day, and then I usually drink, pretty much to excess every single night of my life. So, I mean, I'm not saying this is a good thing, and I'm certainly not bragging, because I see people that are sober, and I get jealous of them. I'm like, wow. What would that be like to, wake up feeling good every day? And I'm so committed to it. I don't understand that. I mean, I don't understand why I won't just let it go. But I know it's such a big part of, who people perceive me to be, but it's also just a big part of how I perceive me to be.
Well, people who perceive you to be, they perceive you. Like, if anyone has ever asked me, what's Ron White like? I go, what do you think he's like? Oh, great guy, likes to drink a lot, always funny. Yeah, that's him. that's who you have the benefit of, you don't have an act, like you're not putting on an act, but you are a character. Like but as who you are, it's so much better. Like, if people found out you were some teetotaling guy, like, have you ever seen someone who drinks fake shots on stage?
Yeah,
that's rough. That's a rough place to be.
Yeah,
pretending to be boozing it up with the crowd. Come on,
well,
folks.
Foster
crazy.
Brooks, who was the best. Foster Brooks was so good at being a drunk, was a teetotaler.
Wasn't Dean Martin as well? Not a teetotaler, but he would pretend.
I don't think so. And I hear that, but I've seen him. When I did the Foxworthy roast, I went back and watched all those roasts.
Yeah.
And that guy was drunk. And if you go watch movies he was in, he was not a good actor. So he was acting, and him and Foster Brooks were in the same one. And Brooks was just so good and so edgy. And but you could tell which one was really drunk. And but I think a lot of times in Vegas he might have had fake drinks, and
or maybe people just wanted to say that because it's a little story,
right? Yeah. But he looked like looked like he was fucked up to me.
Have you seen that show on? I don't know if you watch any Amazon Prime. You ever seen that show, The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel? It's about a stand-up comic.
No, I hear about it all the time, and people are always saying it's really, really good.
It's fucking great. It's fucking great.
I just finished something today, so I'm looking for the next.
Watch that, man. Especially season 1. Season 2 was great too. I enjoyed it, but people didn't give season 2 as much reward, as much props as they did. I like both seasons, but there's a woman in it. This is my point. Who she's putting on an act. Like, she's this really highfalutin lady who pretends to be this chick from Queens, and she puts on a fat suit and does this act. And it drives Mrs. Maisel fucking crazy. She hates it. And she talks shit about her, and it starts, spoiler alert, I won't say any more, but it just, that trap of being a character.
Right.
Pretending to be something that you're not.
I think that's, and this might be a little bit of a stretch, Joe, I don't know, but, I think that's why Steve Martin quit. Because he was a parody of a comedian, and which was brilliant and so funny. Let's Get Small was one of my favorite albums ever, and I took it with me everywhere I went and played it for people, and then took credit for how good it was, even though I really had very little to do with it except for spending the money.
I remember when I was a kid, I listened to that long before I ever did stand up. He was fucking great, man. Yep.
Right,
God damn, he was great.
But he was doing 45,000 people a night when he quit.
Yeah, I think that was the problem. I think he just got over. I think he's like a lot of comedians. They feel a lot. They're not numb people. They feel a lot. And I think for him, like this.
Maybe that's why I'm drinking every night.
Maybe.
I don't want to get in touch with those feelings.
Well, everybody that's damaged feels a lot, and everybody that's a comic is damaged. And I think
I agree with that.
I think with Steve Martin, he was just so big, man. I don't think I think he's bigger than you or I combined. Like, he just would go on stage and they would go fucking crazy. It didn't even make sense to people.
Right.
They would laugh
and
at
also
anything.
difficult for him to perform.
Yeah, he didn't know what was funny anymore.
And yeah, so I think, I mean, it was a ballsy thing to do.
Fucking crazy.
And and then he walked straight into film, and you know, everything he's done has been crazy successful.
No, he's excellent.
And
He's
I'd love to go
excellent.
see the band. My Kathy Nelson, Kathy, she runs the touring thing. She went to see the band and went back and talked to him. Said it was great.
Wow.
I'd like to meet him. We lived in the same town for a while. I'd like to meet him, but never ran into him. Ran into Jonathan Winters there a couple of times.
What was he like?
He was holding court at the post office. And 20 people around. He's doing characters. He's killing at the post office. And I saw, and that was the second time I saw him. The first time I saw him was he was having lunch by himself, and I was with another comic, and he goes, "Do you think he'd mind if we went over there and said hi?" An hour later, we're like, "Well, we got to go, Jonathan. And, we got to split. We got shit to do."
He was Robin's big influence, right?
Right? Yeah, that's true. That's true.
He was so zany. He was so zany. Who the fuck was like him? Think of that.
Yeah, it had to start with something, right?
Yeah.
That's what I got. I got this theory that there's two kinds of comics: bridge builders and people that walk across those bridges. I'm a big walker.
Yeah.
I didn't invent any of this stuff. I think.
Well, you got to go back to like Richard Pryor and Lenny Bruce. Those are the big ones. And then Kinnison was a big one too.
Kinnison, because Kinnison taught us that somebody can genuinely not like you.
Yeah.
And you can still make them laugh.
Yeah. But he also taught me that you can punch down as low as you want as long as it's funny.
Right, as long as it's funny, as long as you're good enough.
That fucking bit that he had about starving children, to this day, I had an argument with a guy on the podcast about it where he was telling me that you comedy only punches up. I go, that's crazy. Kinnison had two of the best bits of all time. They were both punching down. One was about starving kids. The other was about necrophiliacs paying money to bang corpses.
Right.
But that's as down as you can get, man. You're fucking a dead body.
Right. No.
And both those bits were fucking genius.
And it's the same with it's the same with 9/11. You know, if you're good enough of a writer, you can do material about that. But but you better be good.
You better have somewhere to go. That is,
you better have somewhere to go. And I heard a couple of good pieces. I don't remember who did them, but but like the week afterwards, the guy that was some guy that was the opening act was trying to riff on it, and I got him over the side and I said, "Hey, dude, this is my stage right here, and normally I don't tell the comics what to do." But until you have something to say about it that's really, really funny, I don't want you bringing it up.
Yeah, that's a tough one because you could kill the whole show. Some middle act goes on and you lost friends in the towers, and that was a week ago.
Right.
I mean, there's like levels of tragedy. That's a real tough one to find humor in. I'm not saying that someone can't do it. There's people find comedy in everywhere, and it's legit. They do.
Right.
They have a perspective.
It's just the eye. You know, how good are you? So
and then
I'm good enough to avoid those things. That's how good I am. I get it. I'm not good enough to do it.
Patrice O'Neal had a really great point about that. He's like, all things, when someone's trying to be funny, they all come from the same place. Just some of them miss. Some of them just aren't funny. You can't get mad at those.
Right.
Because it came from the same place. Like, yeah, I bet someone would admit that they told a joke that wasn't funny. Whoops. Tried. They tried, but they didn't. They're not trying to be mean. Like the response sometimes.
Right. It just didn't work.
Yeah, it just sucked. But when someone's ad-libbing, some things are gonna suck. But the response sometimes to one that's like off, maybe a little bit too harsh or maybe a little too soon. Like people get so fucking mad.
All right. Well, you sent me a tweet about that Cosby bit that I did, and it was really funny. And but it just stirred the pot so much. You're like, you think rape is good? No, that's not what I said at all.
Right.
That's not what I said at all. I made a joke. That's it. And you do that too. I mean, you stir up the pot big time. It's great, and you'll just go watch this, and and then.
You gotta have a point, though. And if you have a point and you really are trying real hard to be a good person, you just have a point. I just have a point on things. I'm gonna say it. You know, you might get mad, but I'm not saying it to be a bad guy. I'm saying it because that's what I do for a living. That's what I do. We find things. You know. Burr was telling me that he did Caroline's in New York City. He was like, it was almost like a college gig. He's like, people are so sensitive now in New York.
Oh, you know, he and I just did the VFW Hall in Hollywood, and then and I was calling him about another comic that I wanted. I was just talking to at the bar and I thought he was really funny. And now I can't remember his name. Joe DeRosa.
Joe DeRosa. Yeah,
Joe
sure.
DeRosa. And I called him, and he goes, "Yeah, no, he's really good." And he goes, "How about I come over and do it?" And I'm like, "Well, of course, Bill. Whatever you want to do, time on it. Come on over." Well, he was doing a bunch of Trump stuff, and you know, and I guarantee you, my fans are pretty split down the middle. But it did not go over well, and he didn't give a fiddler's fuck about it. And so he just made him mad and stirred him up for about 20 minutes. And then we both, I did my set, and we smoked a cigar, and he's not drinking either for like a year or something like that.
Yeah, he looks great. He looks really good. He looks thin and healthy.
Yeah.
The Trump jokes are interesting because I don't remember anybody getting mad at you for Bush jokes.
Right.
Like, it's different.
They were just jokes, right?
Yeah. Even if you were like a Bush supporter, you could crack a joke about the way he spells potato or something like that. Nobody gave a fuck. People didn't care. It was a different thing. Even if people were supporting
it wasn't Bush, by the way, that spelled potato wrong. It was
that's right. It was Quail.
It's Quail.
Quail. That's right.
That's how these rumors get started, man.
It is how they get started.
Yeah, you conspiracy dudes over here blowing off this who spelled potato wrong shit.
Oh, that's right. It was him. Bush fucked some things up too, though, didn't he?
Well,
didn't he fuck some stuff up?
There's a whole album like The Wit and Wisdom of George W. Bush.
Yeah.
And he says like, "Fool me once, shame on you. Fool
Yeah,
me twice."
Shame on me again. I don't know. You know, what's interesting about Bush is when he was running for governor of Texas, he had a completely different way of communicating. He talked like a really smart guy. He's very articulate. I mean, he was a smooth talker.
you're talking about
W. There's a video of him from back in the day when he was running for governor, and he's great. You listen to him, like, look at this energetic, intelligent guy. He's articulate. He seems like one of us. And then they had a side-by-side video comparing him to like Bush after 7 years in office. Like he's like barely hanging on.
Right.
He's not paying attention to shit. He's given the reins to heaven and hell to Dick Cheney. Dick Cheney's in a bunker 7 miles underground making nefarious decisions. You know, I mean, it was weird. It was a weird time, but you can make fun of Bush all day long. Nobody gave a fuck. You make fun of Trump today, people want to kill you.
Yeah, I almost got in a scuffle the other day at the gas station. This guy just started spouting out stuff. He was putting gas in his car right over there, and by the first word, the sentence that came out of his mouth from nowhere, hadn't said a word to the guy, didn't say hi to him, nothing. Nancy Pelosi's the dumbest person that ever lived on this planet, and I get baited so easy. I just said, probably not. Probably not. That you're probably wrong. She's probably not. Obama was an idiot. He graduated #1 from Harvard Law. So,
yeah.
Views politically aside, we can start with he's probably not stupid. And what a good speaker.
He was the best.
Oh yeah, he was smooth.
The most presidential. He was a guy that you were happy to have represent you. Whether you believe believe in him and you support his ideas or not, as a representative of our culture, of our civilization, that guy was smooth and measured and articulate and
off the book. You know, most of the time, he was saying what he thought, and he wasn't reading off of scripted.
Well, you know the story about Clinton?
I know some.
With being off the book. Clinton was such a good orator that the teleprompter went off. It broke like 5 minutes into his fucking speech, and he did all that shit by memory. Just did the whole goddamn thing by memory.
And I played 9 holes of golf with him.
What was he like?
And it was, there's still Secret Service all around him.
Right.
And so it was a private golf course, Larry Ellison, that owns Oracle.
Oh, wow.
Owns this private golf course that has 410. He's a big tennis guy, so he puts on the tennis stuff out in Palm Springs, and nobody plays this course, and he doesn't play golf, and it's just his private. That's his deal.
He's got his own course.
He's got his own course. And
Jesus.
he played through our group at Shadow Creek in Beverly Hills. I mean, in Vegas. A really exclusive course, impossible to get on, and he was playing by himself, and he was on the tee box, and I said, "It's lonely at the top, isn't it, Larry?" And he goes, "Yep," and hit his ball and went off by himself. And
wow!
But he wasn't even there. But Clinton was, and he told me a story. He goes, his friend of his is a record producer, rap records, big. He didn't tell me who it was, and didn't tell me who the artist was either. But the artist was all thugged out, and he was in a Ferrari store. And the salesman goes, "Are you thinking about buying this car?" And the guy goes, "No, I'm going to buy the car. I'm thinking about pussy." so Clinton told me a story that had the word pussy in it. And,
that's a fucking great story. Clinton told you that story?
Yeah, Clinton told me that.
That's a great fucking story. That is a great story. That poor bastard.
Yeah,
he's almost like a comic. Like he could just be free.
Yeah.
He was like, you think if he got divorced and just started going on the honest Bill Clinton lecture
Oh,
circuit.
I fucked her. Yeah, I did. I didn't want to either.
What did you think I was going to do?
What would you do?
What would you do? You're in my position.
What would you do?
You're smart. You know you don't got but 40 years left of life.
I'd have shoved my pecker right in her mouth. That's what I would have done.
The whole idea of being the fucking number one guy, you got to be so goddamn pussy hungry to want to be the number one guy. 100%.
You got to have big appetites, that's for sure.
For everything.
Yeah, for everything.
For everything. You got to be a super conqueror.
Yeah, and all those guys are. Not all those guys. I don't want to generalize, but it's really, really common for men that are in power positions to just be horny as fuck all the time.
Of course. I mean, we got to go back. The way we want these people to behave is so contrary to the way any king ever behaved ever in history. Like the stories of kings throughout history was always decadence. It was always, all these
women and wine and food and more food.
People feeding them
fat
grapes.
And open sores and
cutting off the fucking ex-wives' heads and shit. Like that's what you think of. Ordering armies, people protecting them. It's like those people were just gluttons. Just the super gluttons of the world.
Right.
And we don't like that. We don't like that. So then we try to turn someone into some fucking Norman Rockwell person.
Right, and that doesn't work either.
It's not real.
Because you don't have enough. You don't have enough charisma to lead.
Yeah,
maybe
Well, Trump is showing us that. Like you could talk shit about him 24/7, 365 days a year. He's not adjusting anything. In fact, he digs his heels in. He's the same fucking guy, no matter what happens.
Well, I really don't like to get into my position on Trump because and the reason is I just don't feel like it's my job. I feel like it's your job.
Yeah,
my job's different.
Yeah.
My job is to go up there and just make them laugh, but I don't want to be divisive.
Yeah, I hear you.
I just don't want to do it because my fan base is split, and I've had. Nothing ever really happens, but I had a guy one time because I said something in a meet and greet who is paid to take a picture of me and then refused to take a picture of me because of what I said. And I'm like, I don't give a fuck, dude. Don't take a picture. Leave that. I don't give a shit.
Yeah, people are so touchy.
Yeah.
But that's also one of it's like they're exerting power over you. I'm not even going to take a picture. I'm going to unfollow you on Instagram too, Ron White.
Right.
Goddamn communist.
Yeah. What am I going to do?
Yeah.
I told one girl, she said, I'm going to unfollow. You used to be funny, but now you're just filthy, and I'm going to unfollow you. And I know it doesn't matter. And I said, you can't leave. All the plants will die. Whenever you're in a bind, quote Bill Murray.
Yeah. Yeah. People are just so mean. Just want to hurt you, Ron White, for no reason.
Yeah, but nobody... I've already been as mad as I can be, and I'll never be madder, and it happened when I was 16 years old. So it's hard to make me mad, and I'll tell you what made me mad. I just got my driver's license. My mother asked me to go to the store to get something. It's in the summer in Houston. I don't have any shoes on. I open my door, step into a shitty Pampers that somebody had just thrown in the parking lot. And I didn't just put a toe in and go, oh, that's baby shit. That's wrong. I just shoved my whole foot into it. Green baby shit coming through my toes. Smears all over the diaper, right? So I'm stuck. I don't know what to do. I'm not going to get back in my mother's car with this shitty foot. I can't go into the store with baby shit all over my foot. And I thought about just cutting my foot off and just leaving it in the diaper with a note that said, "You used to be a perfectly good fucking foot, dude." And nobody's ever made me that mad since. I was so fucking furious, and I just wanted to hate and kill over a shitty Pamper.
That's crazy that was all it took.
That's all it took. That's all it took.
But
it was so, it just put me in a. I've been stuck before. Let me tell you about the other time I was stuck. This will get us off of politics. I'm in my tour bus, and I'm partying with my buddy Steve, my best friend, my road manager who passed away. And he never gets laid, but it looked like he had an angle on this girl. So I picked up my beer and went back to my bedroom, which I never do. I sit up there and drink with the guys, and I go back there just to go to sleep. But I never take booze back there or anything. But I'd gone back there and laid down, and I put that Dos Equis bottle on the counter, and then we took off during the night. Well, I was real drunk, and Steve was real drunk, and the bottle falls off and breaks, and I don't hear it. So in the middle of the night, my bed sits high because you want to try to get those beds towards the center because it's on those axles anyway. But the closer it is to the center, the better it feels when you're in it. So you kind of slide off of it about an inch, and my foot went into the bottom of the beer bottle, had a shard hanging off of it about an inch and a half long, and I landed on it. Well, now I know exactly what it was, and somebody had hit the master lights. So I can't turn the lights on. You have to go back and turn them on the master switch. But I know that around me is broken glass everywhere because I understand what happened. I understand that bottle broke, and I got it in my foot. So I pull my foot up, and I didn't know how big the shard was, and I just pull it out of there, and blood just starts gushing out. Well, Steve's passed out in the bunk, and he can't hear me. I can't get to a phone. I can't see. So what do? I just crawled back in bed and went to sleep and bled. Wow. And Steve said the next morning it looked like somebody had killed a hog in there. And he just lifted up the sheets, him and the bus driver, and saw my foot. And they were like, he's all right.
Jesus Christ. Did you worry about bleeding out? I mean, how much blood's
I
coming
didn't
out
know
of your
what
foot?
else to do because the only option was to take another step and cut the other foot. And
did you have your phone with you?
I wasn't within reach. I was just stuck. And,
I hear you.
And I was also drunk.
Right.
Stuck and drunk and bleeding.
God damn, that's a good combination.
Yeah, I was stumped. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to fucking combat it. So I just crawled back in bed, and I'm like, well.
How was your foot?
13 stitches. As soon as I woke up and looked at him, let's go to the hospital, guys. And they sewed it back up. 13 on the bottom of my foot, right in the arch, and it was a mess. It was a fucking mess.
Every time, if you fuck your foot up, you realize how much you need them. Like you could fuck your shoulder up, and it sucks. But
you can still walk somewhere and get something.
Yeah, when you fuck your foot up, you're like, oh, okay, this is a real problem. You get a knee operation or something?
Right. I play golf every day, so.
Oh yeah, so it's a real problem.
It's a real problem with me.
Yeah. Every day?
Every day I can. Not every day, but every day I can.
Golf is one of those games, man. Guys just get fucking into golf.
Yeah, it's look at what you're into. It's something that you do and you've always done, and you just keep doing it. I watch it on television like it's a soap opera. I just watched 80 hours of The Players. It also gives me a reason not to exercise, because I got this golf to watch. And,
well, golf does give you some exercise, though. That's a fact. You are walking around.
It's better than being sedentary.
Yeah, you're walking around. And you're thinking, you're planning shit out, looking at the curves of the
thinking,
grass and
measuring and trying to solve problems. And so
I get it. I'm just terrified. terrified. I'll be one of you guys out there every day.
Yeah, right. No,
I know. I have friends that go out every day. You're one of them. But I know other guys.
I do too.
Every time they get a chance.
The guys I play with go every day.
Yeah, if you can pull it off, it's like a gentleman's leisure way of life.
Yeah, it's always back when I was a club comic. That's how I killed the day. I started playing when I was like 13. And so I would just go to a golf course and, schmooze out a deal where I could play golf there every day. And you ain't jack shit to do during the day in clubs for 15 years.
Right.
I'm doing 48 weeks.
Right.
And making $500 a week or whatever it was when I started. And, it was a middle act out there. You had to work them all, because you needed the $500 real bad.
Yeah. Do you ever look back on those days with like, do you reminisce?
You know what? It's a good thing for me that this was the path of least resistance, right? Because if it wasn't for stand-up, I'd be a regional marijuana distributor in the state of Texas in an industry that has some questions coming up. So, I did it because I loved it. But it was also fun, and it was easy for me. I didn't mind the travel because I liked drinking free in bars and practicing this art form but I never ever thought it would go where it went. If people ask me, how do I do that? I'm like, I don't know how I did it. And I was right there when it happened. I have no idea. I barely remember it.
Didn't you live in Mexico for a little bit?
Mm-hmm. In fact, there's a really, really, really good PGA player from the same town I lived in that played golf every day where I played golf. I didn't know him. He was young. He would have been let's figure it out. He would have been. He's like 21 or 2 now, and he was in the heat for this tournament. His name was Abraham Answer is his name, and born in Reynosa, Mexico. Well, he's actually born across the border because there's no wall, right? They can just come over there and have a baby. So but his parents must have been fairly well off for that part of the world, to do that, but. He's great, and I dig it because and I see where he came from exactly.
Mm-hmm.
It's where my son made a hole in one when he was 8 years old. Was on the Campestre golf course in Reynosa, Mexico.
How many holes in one does a guy get in his career?
I've had one. My son's had one. Like the big guys, maybe 16, 17, 18.
In a whole life.
In a whole lifetime.
There's no equivalent in other sports.
Yeah,
a hole in one. There's no equivalent in any other game.
Right. There was a double eagle.
What's that mean?
That's where you make a 2 on a par 5. So that means you sunk a hole from 262 yards out. You made it on the second shot.
Oh, wow.
That's very rare. Oh. Very rare. But
a double eagle slightly less rare than a hole in one.
Way less rare.
Way less rare. Because that par 3 could be as much as 125 yards, and then most of them aren't made on the longer 185, but you're not, the guys like me aren't hitting the par 3s from 235. Yeah, if you think about it, I guess there's nothing like that in any other game or sport. Hole in one, where it just works out perfect.
Maybe a walk-off grand slam or.
Yeah, maybe. Those happen way more often, though.
Yeah, way more. Well, yeah, way more often than a hole in one. For how many people try
crazy.
It every, you don't get many chances at that grand slam. But
the other thing is,
for how
like,
many people tried, how many they make.
Pitch at you. You're definitely going to hit the ball. It's right there. Like, that golf ball is just right there. I mean, you might not have a good lay, but you're definitely going to hit it. Am I saying all the right shit?
Yeah. Well, if you hit a foul ball, you got to play it.
That's true.
You got to go find it. And
it seems like the odds of you getting a hole in one must be off the charts. It must be like 1,000 to 1 or 100,000 to 1 or something crazy like that.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, most people maybe never.
Yeah. What do you think the numbers would be? What are the odds?
Oh fuck, Joe.
A hole in one.
I didn't graduate from high school. Let's throw the math to those carb guys and those science dudes.
They were killing me.
But my
what do you guess?
son made one the 11th day he ever played golf.
Wow.
In front of me and his coach and his best friend.
That's incredible.
And it was a 95-yard par 3 from the regular women's tees with a U.S. Kids Club driver that I still have.
Wow.
And it just straight at the hole. He had a great golf swing. The kids, if you treat them, his golf coach was good, even though they spoke a different language. They understood golf and how to teach him that swing, and so he was good at it. And he doesn't really play much anymore. It's not his thing, but it landed 10 yards in front of the pin, bounced twice, rolled right in the middle of the cup. And at this point, I've been playing golf for 30 years, and I'd never done it.
Wow.
And so it was a big deal. And he got his name in a couple of newspapers, and they mentioned him on the Golf Channel. He was the youngest kid that had made a hole-in-one that year that was registered. And then, like 2 weeks later, a 6-year-old did it. And my son was like, they took all the joy out of it for him.
Yeah.
That was one kid. He was lucky. He hit it. His went on off a mailbox. Yours went on off a perfect golf shot.
Golf shot, it's a hard thing to learn, right? That swing.
Yeah, it is a really difficult thing to do, and it's a thing that you learn how to aim. It's like a bow and arrow, even though that's a little easier to teach somebody how to do, but to do it exceptionally well, it's not easy to do. And or a slingshot, how to get the power at the right spot, or even fly casting. It's not power everywhere. It's power in the right spot that
whip,
does it. And
whip of the wrist.
Yeah, and so it's hard to do, but it's fun to do once you learn how to hit a good solid golf shot, and the ball comes off the way it's supposed to. It's bliss. I'll tell you something. Here's a story about golf. My best friend who passed away died of brain cancer. So they had done a surgery on him that had just down scars down his neck, down his back, where they were trying to they were shooting it. He was already, he should have had a death sentence. We just weren't saying it out loud. And we were at my place in Montecito, and we had thrown everything at this cancer but the kitchen sink, and we were looking for the fucking sink, And Steve goes, "Let's go to the golf course, man." He goes, "I'll help you read some putts." He was always good at reading putts. We'd been playing golf since we were little kids. We'd known each other since we were 6. And so when I got my clubs out, his clubs were in there too. So he reaches into his pill bag and takes another pill, pain pill, and said, "I'll throw mine on there. I might take a swing." So, and he did off the first tee box, and it hurt, and it wasn't very good. And he just winced, but every once in a while he'd put a ball down and he'd hit it. And when we get to the 17th hole, it's par 3, 167 yards, it was a long hole, and he hits his drive with his driver, and it fades off a little bit to the right, but he caught it, and so it was up kind of up by the green, but the pin was kind of on the other side. And I was like, great, and so he hits a chip shot, which is easier to do, and he's always really been good at that, and he hits it to about 7 feet. And I'm like, oh, my God, he's got a 7-foot putt for a par, and he makes it. And this dying man gets the biggest grin I've ever seen in my life. And it was crooked because his muscles had been cut, but it just brought him pure fucking joy.
Wow.
And then I got to see the last par he ever made. So, and I got to witness that, joy. So that's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
That's pretty cool. That's golf, It, if it means that much to you, it can make you feel better if you do it right one time.
I get it. I think it's like in any difficult game like that. I guess it'd be like that with a lot of games, but there's something about golf, too, that it's very physical, and you're doing it outside. It's one of the only things you have to do outside, other than, I guess you could do tennis inside, like, really.
Right.
But golf is a fucking giant-ass course. You're going to be walking. You got to go outside.
Yep. I mean,
Yeah.
I do it in a golf cart, but I walk from the golf cart to the ball.
Something's happening. There's
Yeah,
some kind of walking.
Something's going on.
Something's going on.
But you got to stay loose, That's why. That's the only reason I do yoga is to keep my lower back and my keep everything moving around.
Oh, yeah, golf's got a lot of lower back, right?
Yeah. Well, it's all got to turn, around your spine, and that I'm 62 years old, and so that's just harder to do than unless you keep you got to keep those muscles stretched out.
Yeah.
To be able to do it at all.
Yeah, I think it's like that with anything where you're moving your body as a unit. Martial arts stuff or anything, you better, as you get older in particular, you better be really aware of all the moving parts. When you're a kid, you could just fucking hit the gas. When you hit 50, you better be, you're swinging a tennis racket or something like that. You better be aware of your shoulders and your knees. You gotta be aware of all these moving parts.
How old are you?
51.
51? Oh, wait for 62.
I'm not waiting. What's up?
Here's Tiger's back injury. He's had
no.
4 back surgeries.
Oh, no. He had another one?
This isn't like yesterday or anything. This is from like a year or two ago.
Oh, good.
Wise announced that he had undergone anterior lumbar interbody fusion. Oh, that's fusing his discs. Many thought his discs. Excuse me.
He fused his
Freud.
discs.
Hello,
Ladies
Freud.
and gentlemen.
Many thought that his competitive golf career was over, and his 4th surgery since March of 2014, which involved removing the L5-S1 intervertebral disc and then inserting fusion material to connect the L5 and S1 vertebrate. What? Oh my God. Although he's apparently recovered quite well from the operation, the surgery is quite rare amongst professional golfers. One other PGA player, Dudley Hart, had also had a fusion in the same location as Woods. Fucking fusion's rough, man. That means there's no disc left.
Right. And he won the whatever they call it, the FedEx Cup, the last tournament of the year.
Yeah.
Last year, Tiger won it, and so he came back from that injury.
That's incredible.
Oh, it is amazing. And I was there. It was at East Lake in Atlanta, and I do all their charity stuff. Yeah, that's the footage of him going up to 18th green. He's about to win this thing, and this is the top 30 golfers on the PGA Tour, which is the toughest tour there is.
Look at all these people jazzing out.
It's
what
amazing.
A weird sport that everybody gets to run on the field and follow them.
Right, walk right next to him.
There's no crowd control there. They have no
so
idea
I was
what the
right
fuck
up
is
there.
going on.
I was right up there above this green because I walked with him because I get to go inside the rope. So and I followed it a couple of.
Oh, he fucking choked.
Nah, it didn't matter. This is the one he needs right here, the short
That's
one.
it?
Yep. Yeah, I think he had a 2-shot lead going into that.
And that's it, and he won?
And he won the whole thing.
Wow,
yeah, and that was the comeback. That was the comeback that people said would never happen, that he would never, not especially at this level. That's a hard tournament to win. I mean, that's tough stuff.
So he's back. Tiger's back.
Tiger's back. I love it.
I
I don't require a lot from people, if they get some strange along the way.
That guy's, he got it rough after his whole divorce and the sex scandal. I mean, he had it rough for a long time. People were coming after him. But the thing is about those back surgeries is I wonder why they did the fusion, because I think they do articulating discs now that seem to be very effective.
I think he tried. I mean, I think he had 4. So
because people are, I know a few people that are doing those, that have got those discs down. They put like a titanium movable disc. Basically takes the place of the disc that's in your back. Eddie Bravo had that done.
I don't know.
What does it say?
I play all these pro-ams.
Increase the golfer's performance via an anterior approach is that it spares the large muscles of the back that are critical to golf swing, which potentially makes the recovery for athletes a bit easier. Huh. So
I don't
that's
know,
why
but I would
fused it?
imagine whoever was looking at Tiger's back was about the best person in the world to be looking at it. So I'm sure they would have.
100%.
He had a pretty big budget for it.
Yeah, I mean, you would want. I mean, they must have like really calculated it. That was what the best move was. Maybe if they put an artificial disc, it would move funny. I'm good. I don't know, man. The back thing's a rough one. You ever had any back problems?
I don't have a lot of any kind of problems except that little alcohol thing that I got going, that little squeaker, but I play golf with guys in these pro-ams, and most of them are football, basketball players, and most of them are around my age, and most of them are in pain. It turns out smoking pot, watching cartoons, good for your knees. Because mine are fine. And I just didn't get hurt, I played golf when I was on the golf team. I sucked, but I was on the golf team in junior high and high school, and I played football too. But
life of relative leisure is good for the joints.
Right, it's good for the joints. Right, you don't take a pounding. Not from where I'm laying.
Yeah, the knees and the ankles. We were talking to Kamaru Usman yesterday, who's UFC welterweight champion. He's had 5 knee surgeries. Both of his knees are basically bone on bone. Can't run anymore. Had all kinds of crazy
and still limping.
Fights. Destroys people
with no knees.
Doesn't just fight. He destroys people. He's the best. He just beat Tyron Woodley, who was the best before him. It's fucking crazy. I mean, I
laugh so hard when that guy goes, "My balls got hot." And you go, "That was the best thing you could have possibly said was, I understand." Yeah.
I love that guy.
Oh man,
Derek Lewis he's a genius. He figured out a way to be himself. Have you ever go to his Instagram page?
No.
If there's anything fucking crazy going on in the world, Derek Lewis has it on his Instagram page. His Instagram page is the best. People found out about it. I gave him a shout out to his Instagram page on one of the UFC broadcasts. And now it's got what does he have? How many followers do you have now?
1.6 million.
1.6 million? It's that good, though. Yeah. It's fucking chaos. He always gets videos deleted and removed, but apparently they leave him up there. I mean, they're not threatening to take him down, I don't think. I hope not.
Right.
It's where I go to
I'll go
see
take a look at it.
any fucking dummy that's trying to light a bomb under a tire and fly through the air and smash the roof of a fucking garage with his face. He's got all that shit. Motorcycle accidents or people trying to do wheelies and they fall and it lands on them. Anything fucked up on the internet, Derek Lewis.
It's funny.
He's got it all. Anything crazy, he's a hilarious guy. But the fact that he could say something like that, right after a fight, why'd you take your shorts off? My balls was hot. He starts selling T-shirts afterwards. My balls is hot T-shirt.
So they don't.
I got one.
I don't think real people listen to anything that's being said about
USA in this hole. I need one, Derek. Please, I need one of those shirts. I need one of those shirts, please, Derek. Oh my God, he's the best. He's such a character. Fight his ass off too.
So, what? I know it's your show, but what? How many fights do you do now? And does anybody care about a fight you don't announce?
Yeah, they for sure care. Yeah, I do 10 a year.
10 a year?
10 events a year. I'm doing the big pay-per-views, 10 of them. There's a lot of them that are overseas.
But they want you to be the voice, right? And
well,
you just don't have time.
I just don't have the time. Yeah. I don't have the time with the podcast and with doing stand-up and, making Netflix specials and shit. There's just no time.
Right. Plus, fuck no. I know there's no time.
I like it better when I do it once a month. 10 times a year is basically once a month. Right. I like that better because it seems like that's...
and it's the higher profile stuff.
I don't mind there's a lot of fights that are not that high profile that I love.
It's like they're Crosby, Stills, and Nash, and you're young. Right? You just pop in and do the big shows. And
that's funny.
People, don't care as much.
I love doing it, man. I love doing it. I still do. But
it's amazing to me how many people that I meet, because I talk about you and I'm proud. I love our friendship, but I really admire you a lot, and I admire you for a lot of reasons. But one of them is that you're famous for a lot of things, and some people don't know you as all of those things. I don't know if anybody does. Well, probably because they listen to the podcast, and there's millions of them. But still, that's. I don't think I don't think it's as common for people to know how good a comedian you are. Of course they don't unless they've seen you, live, because they might think of you as the guy from the Fear Factor or the Man Show or UFC, and you're famous for all those things and stand-up comedy. That's crazy. But I find myself defending you sometimes. Going, listen to his fucking stand up. Turn on Netflix and watch that last special. Watch all of them. It's really, really good stuff. He's one of the only people that really makes me laugh. And I feel like I'm out here spreading the word. You got a podcast that reaches the entire universe, and I'm explaining Joe Rogan to people. So
listen, I love you and I appreciate you. So you saying that to me means a lot to me. Thank you.
Well, that's anyway. Baby shit all over my fucking foot. I'm saying And I'm not over it. I'm just not over it.
It's a good thing to be angry. If you're gonna have one bad moment in your life, that's a manageable.
Yeah, because you can hose it off your foot, right? But there was no hose. That's what I'm trying to say.
I get it was nasty.
There was no hose.
I get it.
There was no fucking hose.
I get it. So
I wouldn't have been stuck if there would have been a hose. But I was in the parking lot of a grocery store.
Jamie, what were you telling me that Conor McGregor was mad at me for something? What were you saying?
I could pull up the video, I guess.
What was he doing? Is that illegal? Are we allowed to see it?
It's fine. Yeah, it's news.
But what did he say? Something like, I
talk off script.
I talk off script?
Talk on script, or
Well,
you call fights on a script or something.
That is not really true because no one ever gives me a script. That's a fact. I mean, I don't know what exactly he said, but maybe he just didn't like my commentary. I bet he likes it when he wins.
Right?
You know,
you got his picture up in your right here in the what do you call this place?
In the studio.
The actual quote is, "I'd like him to call a fight how he sees it correctly instead of reading off a script, though."
Well,
that's
that's his perception. I understand what he's saying. You know, sometimes people think that, but you know, it's very difficult when someone's calling your fight. If he's talking about me calling someone's fight that's not his friend, then that makes much more sense. It's fucking hard, man. It's hard for me. I have a really hard time calling friends fights. It's fucking hard. I don't.
Do you know him and you're friends with him?
Yeah, well, I don't know him that well, but I like him a lot. I respect.
It's fun to watch him fight. That's for sure.
Do you want me to play the clip?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead, play it.
Man, he's got a great following, he's got crazy insight, great guests. Maybe at some stage in the game, who knows?
Everybody's waiting for it.
I'd like him to call a fight how he sees it, correct? Yeah. Reading off a script though. Yeah. The Diaz rematch, it was like he was reading off the first fight. You know, and that last one he's talking about, the face was getting
Nice left from McGregor.
I left that off and gone with a black eye. The same way as two black cousins left with. His brother and his cousin left the other with a black eye. So once he's
Fuck Khabib, man.
Maybe at some stage he'll do it.
So he's talking. They must have asked him if
Yeah.
you do the
Yeah,
podcast.
I think so.
Yeah, I get his position. You know, that Diaz fight was a good fucking fight, man. It was a hard fight. I wasn't calling it like the last fight, but I had to call it with the knowledge of the last fight. I had to know what happened in the last fight. In the last fight, Diaz survived the storm, tagged him, had him rocked, and then finished him on the ground. It doesn't mean that he didn't win the second fight. It was a close fucking fight. The second fight was a very close fight, but you have to acknowledge that other fight took place.
So he also said it like with a smile.
Yeah, he's
to his
having
fans.
fun.
No, you could tell
Look,
that.
man, I think that guy is,
that he-
one of the most dynamic individuals to ever compete in the sport. He's a special person, very special person, very unusual guy. Even if he doesn't beat Khabib ever again, or you know he loses to this guy, loses to the Floyd Mayweather, who cares? He's still one of a fucking billion human being. He's an unusual guy. The amount of electricity
How
and
good is he?
excitement. He's fucking good, man. He starched Jose Aldo, who's one of the greatest featherweights, if not the greatest, next to Max Holloway of all time. Starched him with one punch. When Aldo was the fucking man. I mean, he was the man. He was smashing everybody for years. And Conor talked so much shit to him and climbed so deep inside his head and infuriated him to the point where he was so emotional. And he came charging at Conor. And Conor just slipped back and bank, dropped like the best one-punch knockout in the history of the sport.
Oh, no shit.
Oh, 100%, because it was so significant. There was so much hype behind it. It was a guy where like, how good is this guy? Is this guy really the next big thing? Or is he going to fall apart when he meets a real champion like Aldo? And then he knocks him out with one fucking punch. Blap! It was crazy. And then hammer fists him while he's out when he's on the ground. I mean, it was definitive, right?
How long into the first set? 14
seconds into the first round. He throws a hopping sidekick. He's gauging the distance. He's got like this karate stance. And then he sees Jose load up. Here, you can watch it right here. He sees Jose load up. And when he sees Jose load up, he had this fight won. Go ahead, play it. He had this fight won even before. I mean, he knew how it was going to go down. He knew what Aldo was going to do. He was real emotional and angry, so he knew he was going to come forward. So he's gauging his distance. Bang! See that? Bam! Oh, the Friday one. I mean, that was like one of the most spectacular KOs in the history of the sport because it had so much meaning to it. It was so important. It was for the featherweight championship of the world. Conor had already won the interim title. Him and Aldo facing each other. This big hype thing. It took like a year to put together. Crazy. So he's awesome.
Did you call that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I think it's the only time I've ever yelled out, he slept him. When someone got cracked, because it's just I don't even know why I said it. It's just like that's what came to my head. I just yelled it out. That's what he did. He slept him.
I saw that special about that guy who announces for World Wrestling or professional wrestling. The guy with
Jake the Snake.
Yeah, the
announcer.
The announcer guy.
Oh. I'm sorry. Which guy? Jim Ross. Is there a
The
Jim
guy
Ross
that has,
documentary?
he's got real bad PTSD, and he's kind of, but he's a great, he's a star in that.
Sounds like it. I don't know exactly.
What was it? It's a book. It's not
No,
a
it's
documentary.
a documentary that I saw, and I can't remember the guy's name. And in 20 minutes, I still won't remember the guy's name. But it was great, and he's really good. I mean, he's sought after for big events. He does all their big events, or he did. And then he'd like fall off into this crazy depressious thing, and then he'd come back, and it was a great story. I wish I could think of it. I would think you would know who that was.
Mauro Ranallo.
Oh, was it Mauro?
Yeah.
Oh, Mauro Ranallo. Yeah, Mauro does Showtime boxing too. What's that? Is that your phone, Ron?
It's definitely his phone.
Is that your phone that sings Back in Black?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think the special's called Bipolar Rock and Roller. Yeah. And Mauro's been on the podcast before. He's a buddy of mine.
Okay.
He's a great announcer. A really, really nice guy, too. But, yeah, he suffers from mental illness, and he does a really good job of talking about it and making sure that other people know that this is not something that you should be ashamed of, What's going on?
Message from my son.
Oh, okay.
Love you, Dad.
Oh, how cute.
He does that in the middle of nowhere for
That's
no reason
adorable.
at all.
That's awesome, man. Ron White, getting some love. But yeah, Mauro is. He used to do Pride. He used to do Pride commentary. He's done a lot of boxing. He did Showtime boxing. He does WWE. He's done a bunch of MMA shit too. A bunch of different organizations. I think he even did Glory for a while. He does Bellator too. That's right. He does Bellator. He's a really good guy. But yeah, mental illness is a weird one, man.
You walk away from it, from watching the documentary, a fan, going, even if you don't know anything about it. I loved wrestling when I was a kid, and I was a big Wahoo McDaniels fan.
Who's Wahoo McDaniels?
Oh, come on.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Damn.
I came up during the Bob Backlund days.
Yeah, this guy, he was a Dallas Cowboy at one time, and he was from Midland, Texas, and he was Cherokee Indian.
Look at that guy. Look at the size of him.
Oh, yeah. Look at him. and he looked like a comedian, right? He looked like Shaky Green or somebody, right?
He does. He looks like, who does he look like?
So he would come out. Now, this is my first encounter with the police.
At him.
My first
Buddy
encounter
Hackett.
with the
That's
police.
what he looks
Buddy
like.
Hackett. That is what it is.
He's a Jack Buddy Hackett.
Yeah. So my cousin, who's a few years older than me, I'm visiting my relatives up in this little town north of Amarillo, and so we go down to Amarillo, 60 miles down to Amarillo, and he's going to take us to the Sportatorium to watch the Super Inferno, who I hated. I mean, this was on local television all over Texas, but one of the stops was there, and so we went, and I don't think I'd been to one yet, and it was my first one, and I loved Wahoo McDaniels because he gets out there and he comes back from anything, right? And you'll think he's out of it, and he ain't out of it. He is amazing and fun, and I just loved him. And I hated the Super Inferno because he was like Russian or something, and something that it was easy, to hate because all the propaganda we were getting about Russia was like their women are ugly. I'm like, no, they're not. It took me a while. It was it was also like Pittsburgh. Because we talked so bad about my relatives about Pittsburgh because they hated the Steelers, and I just had this image of Pittsburgh of this dark, cloudy, people bent over, gray in the face. And first time I drove into Pittsburgh, I'm like, this place is gorgeous. Look at this place. It's a blast. It's a hoot.
Great place to perform.
Oh yeah. It's always been a big stop for me. I mean, once I got out of the clubs.
Yeah, Pittsburgh's great. Cleveland's another one that's very underrated.
Yeah,
Cleveland's fucking great.
I always had a blast playing that improv down in the flats, man, and that titty bar right there in the parking lot. It was like, man, this is one-stop shopping, right, for Ron White.
How many dates are you doing a year these days?
110 cities last year.
Oof.
And then.
Wow.
And then I try to do sets when I'm in town, and I should do more.
How nice is it to have a store though?
It's great. I went to the memorial and
Brody's.
Yeah. And I'd like to just tell your listeners that you never know when it's going to be the last time you see somebody. So don't ever hesitate to say I'm going to need that money. But you're going to, right? You can't do it later. You can't get it from their mother at the funeral. You can't do that. So
very good point.
Yeah. So don't forget that.
Every time I saw Brody, I gave him a hug. That's one thing that Brody and I always had in common. Always. Every single time I saw Brody, gave him a big hug. Like he was a big hugger.
Yeah, I only knew him as a brother. I feel important. I feel like it's important to me to be a part of the comedy community. Participate in it. If you're out there and you're a comedian, and you want to be a comedian, you can be a comedian. But you got to go be a comedian.
Yeah.
And you got to do it every day.
Yeah.
For the most part. And I know you're the same way. I mean, I know that you'd never pass up an opportunity to get behind a microphone, whether it's the 8 or 10 million people to listen to this or 65 people in a whatever. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter to me.
You got to do it all the time. It's the only way to do it.
Right.
If you don't do it all the time, you lose the touch with the reality of it.
And also, it's pace, rhythm, and how comfortable you are in any situation. This situation is just me and you talking, or 26 people. I play the Laughing Skull in Atlanta. 65 people sold out. It's one of the hottest rooms I've ever had my hands on.
I love that joint.
Oh, isn't that cool?
I did that place.
Yeah.
I did that place a couple years ago.
Yeah, that was my hang when I lived out there.
What a great place to practice.
Yeah. Oh, it was. It was great.
It's a great staff, too. It's like they're like comedy fans.
Right.
Like people that work
the Vortex was a really cool bar next.
Yeah. They have great burgers, right?
Yeah, they sell a lot of number one tequila. Is what they do.
Nice. Yeah, that's a great little spot. If you could have that's what every city needs, right? They need a great little comedy community, where you got up and comers that are really working on it, people that really appreciate good material.
Well, there was a really good comedy scene in Atlanta, and like a couple of guys that won Last Comic Standing came out of Atlanta. And
that's great.
I'm so bad with names.
Yeah, it's only but if you stopped and think how many real comedy communities are there in the country? I don't even think there's 10. You think there's 10?
Well, St. Louis has always had one. Chicago's always had
Chicago's
one.
always had a good
Denver's
one.
always had one. And, of course, L.A., New York, Houston.
Houston had one for a long time.
And Hicks and Greenlee and Pineapple. Did you know Pineapple?
I worked with Pineapple once.
You know what he used to do? He would drive all the way across Houston to ignore me. That's what he did it. He did it all the time too. And he had no reason to be there. And I know a lot that some of those guys didn't like me because I don't know why. I don't know why, but they were really, really cliquish. And I went in there one night and had a horrible set. And I was following Hicks. And and I had a really green show. But in the right circumstance, in a comedy club with nothing great happening before you, it kind of worked a little bit. But that night, it didn't work at all. Yeah. And I was probably getting a little more work than those guys were, some of them. Mm-hmm. And they were like, oh, he sucks. Yeah. Well, the fact of the matter is, I did suck because my act would up. You don't want to follow Hicks. I say that to make the story better. I wasn't following Hicks, but he was, or Kennison, but they were both there. Oh, okay. And had done set, but everybody was good. I mean, Greenlee was good. All these guys were seasoned pros. That was a hot lineup, and. But I never felt, like any of them liked me except for Hicks. And I came to see him, do shows. And I asked him to do the story about just John Davidson and the mask. Oh, yeah. And he goes, here's what he says. He goes, don't stand next to the exits, just a tip. Because people just walk out of the show when he does
I watched him do that. He did that at the Nick's Comedy Stop in Boston, and he cleared the fucking room, man. And it was crazy because at the end of the show, there was me and Greg Fitzsimmons and maybe 3 or 4 other comics and 5 or 6 people in the crowd. There was like maybe 20 people left, all told, laughing our fucking asses off.
Right.
Everybody else is getting up angry.
I saw it go both ways. I've seen him beat crowds to death. I saw a set one night at the Laugh Stop in Austin, and nobody in the room could breathe, and he was in the mood to do it. And I think sometimes he was, and sometimes he wasn't, or whatever. But he was in the mood and decided to just fucking stab us all in the face, and it was beautiful.
He was exceptional. Whether or not people think he was one of the greats, that's entirely subjectional, right? It's subjective, rather. It's completely up to your own interpretation. But to me, he changed comedy in a lot of ways because he made people talk about things that were important. Because everybody else is talking about nonsense. You're talking about airline food and how come I can't lean my seat back.
Yeah, right.
Standard normal shit. Exactly, I'm falling and I can't get up.
Exactly right.
And he was coming along talking about positive drug stories. A man on acid realized that all matter is energy condensed to a slow rhythmic vibration. Like that whole fucking bit was amazing.
Here's Tom with the weather.
Yeah, that bit was amazing.
Yeah. No. It was, and he was influential. I mean, I think I can say this about Bill Hicks, and I am an expert at stand-up comedy. I would have a triple doctorate if you gave those kinds of things for the work the amount of time I've put into
100%.
it. And you as a peer would have the exact same thing. So for me to listen to someone's opinion about stand-up comedy, they have to have a lot of cred to me before I really give a shit what they think. Okay? Yeah. So here's what you should think. The only thing that every comic from my generation agrees on is he was better than us. And that's the only thing that they agree on. And I can't find anybody that has a big argument that he wasn't. Now, was he the best that ever lived? No, but did he influence me more than anybody else, and you probably more than anybody else, because you're certainly that way also, right? Somebody built that bridge.
Yes.
And now you feel free to talk about anything. None of your act is ever hack. There were a lot of hacks, but I think Hicks freed people not to be a hack,
Yeah, he cured people of that. He made it shameful. You're talking about hack, but there was also
and then you cured him of stealing material. So
I don't know if I did.
I
think it's still going on.
I guarantee you, there's a chain reaction to it, just like Kraft getting caught getting a blowjob. That shut down business all over the continental United States. Nobody walked into a spa without wondering whether or not it was a sting operation and your name was going to be blown out on them.
Isn't that crazy? But here's the thing: they get this guy's. There's a video of this guy doing a massage, so they've got video of it, right? And at the end, the girl jerks him off. What if she didn't jerk him off? What if she just gave him a massage? What kind of a fucked up invasion of his privacy if he just went in there to get a massage?
Right.
Or was everybody just getting jacked off?
I would imagine.
What are
They
you
offered
saying?
him a plea deal to drop the charges, so I don't know what happened really.
He ratted everybody out. He's like,
Right.
I need to stay
He's not-
above,
yeah, he's not
above
gonna-
ground, kids.
Trouble at all.
Well, I got to tell you, I was so lonesome. I took some comfort there, in my lifetime, as Paul Simon once wrote, and okay, I'm not. You know what? I'm not going to say it because it's just not worth it. It's just
I hear
not
you.
worth it.
It's not.
It's not worth it.
Yeah.
But everybody seems to be perfectly aware that they could be washing your feet,
Yeah.
and
And that's fine.
yeah.
Why is it that a guy like that would go to a place like that? Like, he's so rich.
You know
would think
what?
he has a guy. If you don't have a guy, you
Dude.
should get a guy.
Look
right?
no further.
A cleaner.
Look no further than and this is everybody's going to realize just how fading my memory is now. But the English actor that got caught with the
Yes, Elizabeth Hurley's husband, Hugh Grant. That's
Hugh Grant, right?
Yeah.
Look at Hugh Grant,
Married to the hottest woman on the planet at the time.
right?
Ruthlessly hot.
Oh, yeah, amazingly hot.
You look at it.
He wasn't married to her
Jesus.
either, right? They
They were
his-
boyfriend, girlfriend.
Yeah,
That's right.
boyfriend, girlfriend. And even I couldn't understand that, right? I mean, because I've been with a couple of hot chicks before in my life, but this was
He wanted it freaky.
yeah. I get that, and it comes back to that appetite thing that guys have. I've gotten a hand job from somebody, and I admit this, and it was the best sex I've ever had in my life because it was somebody that was number one. It was a great massage, and then this tantric thing going on, but it was fantastic and pricey. And it's free most anywhere, and that's in Vegas, as legal as it can be.
Right.
They have milking tables that have a hole your dick hangs through.
Really?
And they do. Milking table? Look it up.
Is
Look it
that
up. They got,
better for the guy if he lies on his stomach?
well, you don't
You
have.
get
You got
your
somewhere
back
to
cracked?
put that. You got to somewhere to put
your
the heart on.
I felt like you just laid on your back. No. But it makes
Well-
more sense hygienically to have like a hole in the bottom of the table.
It'll be on the screen, I'm sure, soon.
That is ridiculous.
Listen. I'm not. All I'm saying is that in Canada, or the most of the rest of the world,
Right.
It's getting a tug is really not considered a crime of any kind whatsoever, and is harmless. And who gives a shit? And
Well, why is it okay to massage your feet, but it's not okay to massage your dick? Why?
You know what? I would rather massage my dick than my own feet. I would. And I prove
Yeah.
it on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Regular basis.
I think the problem really is sex trafficking. That's the problem.
And
like if you had
that is
legal
a
prostitution,
horrible,
it's horrible. Yeah.
that's the worst thing
Exactly.
that I can imagine. Again, I'm not going to. I'm
No,
not
I
going
know
to go
what you're
there
saying.
because
it's the most horrific thing you can imagine. That's
the most horrific
yeah.
thing you can imagine.
It's taking
I
someone's
just
baby.
finished watching that series about taking Madeline, and so I'm like, I just can't even that I would support anything, any way, shape, or form,
Yeah.
to have it stomped out, spend billions of dollars. Put boots on the ground, stop
women-
it if you can, in any way you can.
Women who are trying to be legitimate sex workers, whether or not you think that's a thing, they, in their
It doesn't
eyes-
matter what I think. It is a
Exactly.
thing.
It is a thing.
Go down to.
But,
I just went to
talking
Amsterdam before I took my mother to Barcelona because
Yeah.
I wanted a little 3-day stopover before I spent 8 days with mom in Barcelona. And there's signs. Don't take pictures of our sex workers. Our sex workers.
Yeah.
Not sex workers. Our sex workers.
Right.
And they totally own it and go, hey, this is not a bad deal. You know what you're qualified to do? Make French fries. Or it turns out you're super hot, and you in our country you can have this job, or in this country you can have this job, just not everywhere. But
there's only a couple spots in this country, right? It's like part of Nevada.
Yeah, Nevada. I think that I don't even know. I think it's just Nevada.
I think that's it. But it's to me.
Here's something I
if
realized.
Something's
and this
illegal.
is important. Okay. I play Vegas a lot, right? I'm 10 weekends a year at the Mirage, and marijuana is legal recreationally now, and they have the biggest dispensary in the world, which is it's like Universal made it or something. You know, I went in there; it was fantastic. And prostitution is legal. You can get a drink of liquor 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And I realized that I'm a law-abiding citizen. When I'm standing on this part of the United States ground, I don't break any laws at all. I can be free. Right. That's why I feel so good when I go to Vegas. That's why people go, do you like Vegas? Do you get tired of it? No, you know why? Because I can breathe deep, motherfucker. That's why. I can be who I am.
Yeah.
I can do it openly. Yeah. I can, and so can everybody else.
And you get a
Same
crowd
thing,
there.
and that's why, I've sold out 150 shows in a way.
Yeah. You
Same
sold
with
out
Amsterdam.
when I was there when I saw you.
You realize it's the law that causes the paranoia.
Yes.
You know, and because when you're in Amsterdam in one of those coffee shops, smoking a joint, drinking a badass cup of coffee, it's fun and free. You know, freeing and it's the way it should be. You know, the fact of the matter is, the same thing happens to me in Florida with just a little bit. I'm handcuffed, taken to jail, and moved from city jail to county jail and processed and fingerprinted and photographed. They printed my address on the internet so anybody in the world could just walk straight over to the house. I don't think anybody did because nobody gives a shit, except for a few people did write, Ron White has a jet? That's the part I don't believe. But anyway.
Yeah, man, the law is the real problem. When you make alcohol illegal, you made organized crime big. That's what happened. That's what they learned that from Prohibition. They should be learning that from all the drug problems we have in this country.
I guarantee you marijuana will be selling for the price of corn in 20 years because it takes the same amount of effort to grow it, right?
Yeah. No, it's easier. It's probably easier. You probably need less pesticides.
Right.
You know, there's a gigantic problem south of our border, folks, with drugs, and it's because of us. It's 100% because of us. Not us like you and me. I don't do any drugs that they sell. The pot that I get from people that grow it in California. But there's a lot of people that buy coke. And if you buy coke or meth, you're probably buying it from someone down there. And, you know, there's a goddamn thriving industry that would go away if we made things legal. If we gave people, like you, Ron White.
Yeah.
You're telling me you shouldn't be able to go buy coke? Who the fuck are they to tell you can't buy coke? First of all, you sell tequila.
Right.
You kill yourself with
and you
tequila.
can get way more fucked up on my tequila.
Yeah.
Or no,
quick.
As fucked up.
As fucked
up as heroin, as fucked up as anything else.
Probably easier to kill yourself.
You know, I on my own amazingly great tequila, I have found myself puking because I'm an idiot and got just too carried away. And, you know.
It's probably easier to kill yourself with tequila than it is with coke. You probably have to do a lot of coke to die.
Right.
It's probably hard to do that coke at the end. When your fucking nose is bleeding, your heart's pounding out of your chest, you got to take another bump to push yourself over the edge. It's probably hard.
In a Scarface.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Right. He lived.
No, he didn't die of cocaine. They shot him up 55 times.
Yeah, they didn't die of coke.
Show that footage.
Look, Joey Diaz is alive and well.
He tried.
Joey Diaz is alive and well.
Right.
You got to do a lot of coke to kill you. Especially, Joey Diaz, that motherfucker could eat rat
Bruce Lee's
poison.
Dead.
He could eat rat poison and go do a show.
Right.
He'd be mocking death. Fuck you, cocksucker.
I went to see him in Austin. He was playing in Austin. And
Cap City?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I went out and watched him just blister a crowd. I mean,
He's
he
the
just
goat.
blistered them.
He's my goat.
It was so much fun to watch. He's I see him do short sets all the time, but I got to watch him do, his 50. I think he did probably around 50 minutes or something like that, and it was great. And we had a blast.
Try replicating that in this fucking sanitized world,
right?
Where there's Purell everywhere you turn.
The thing is, if you're true, and here's something I believe, that if as a comic or whatever, if you're true to your nature, then enough people will be attracted to that that you don't. That the only mistake you can make is to not be true to your nature.
Yeah.
Right. And if you look at all the great or really successful comics in the history of comedy, they were true to who they were. I mean, Cosby, but you know,
Yeah, he tricked everybody.
he pulled one over on us. And
Can you imagine if he was honest? What I like to do
is drug women
and fuck with my unconscious.
So I never really did that bit on
complain.
stage. Yeah, I never really did that bit on stage very much. Can I do it on your show, dude?
Oh, fuck yeah.
Let me think about it because
Okay.
How's it go? It goes, Bill Cosby. In Bill's defense, he explained to us years ago how much he hates cursing, and no one curses more than a wide awake woman who's being raped. And so.
That's a terrible joke.
It's a joke.
I know, but it made me cry laughing because it's so fucked up. I mean, you look, it's both true and fucked up. Right? It is true.
Oh, yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's not endorsing rape.
That's why I never really found a spot in the opening lineup that's an hour and 20 minutes long.
You could have opened with that motherfucker, sir.
I know, I do. You know what? It was always just a mixed review. It made people think. It made,
yes.
You know, it was like baby duck pussy lip tacos. You know, you either liked it or you didn't like it, but you listened to the next bit.
Wow,
sure.
You made sense, though. It does make sense.
Yeah.
I mean, it really does.
It's a joke. It's just a funny thing to say.
Well, I think we all should have known, like, with his trying to control other people, he was always trying to control young black comics and stop them from swearing.
Right.
There
was that famous thing that he said to Pryor, or was it? Yeah. And,
the people laugh.
And he called Pryor.
Yeah.
And he, shut up and eat, take a Coke and shut the fuck up.
Did you get paid?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, tell Bill to have a Coke and a smile and shut the fuck up.
Right. Yeah. Oh, that's it.
Dude, there's a guy that I'd like to get back into comedy, Eddie Murphy.
Right.
Eddie, if you're out there, get back into comedy.
I laughed so hard at Raw. You know, Raw was so good.
Delirious. Delirious is one of the best comedy specials of all time.
I think so, too.
Of all time. And he did his thing
and
recently.
also himself.
Yes.
Bill Cosby himself
was very good.
You know, a lot of comics learned a lot about stand-up comedy watching Bill Cosby himself.
Oh, yeah, he knew how to hold a moment.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it was beautiful.
Oh.
He worked slow. You know, that thing was framed like this.
Yeah.
The whole show was just his face. And no cutaway to fucking people laughing in the audience or cheesy shots from up here where you can't see who it is. It was just framed in, right, just on his face, and and it was gorgeous work, gorgeous work.
I've thought about this many times. Do you think that those people from back in that era, from back in like the 60s and the 50s, that they used to drug each other and they didn't think it was as big a deal? Like that men would do that, which what we would consider today to be horrific. You know, the idea that you would take someone's daughter and drug her and fuck is horrific.
Oh, yeah. No.
We want violent repercussions for that. That's how I feel.
Yeah, definitely.
Violent. I want to smash. But do you think that maybe back then they were ignorant? That they didn't know any better? Like, you always hear about people slipping people a Mickey. Did they think it was cute? Were they actually doing... Like, how many men were doing that back then? Do you know what I'm saying?
You know, I find myself to be so conservatively that I really can't think outside in that box. You know, I just watched that documentary about them taking that girl. They don't know what happened to her. Took her when she was 3 years old. But it talked a lot about recovery and all, and just how sick a fucking world is out there. And I can't even think about it. I mean, this one detective had to look through these dark websites, and I'm like, and look at these images. You can't unlook at those images.
No, you can't.
You know, it's just a sickening thing.
You know, Ron, they're having a hard time with that with people that work for social media sites. When they have to take down videos, like on Facebook and things like that, like a lot of them, like they're taking down these horrific videos, like horrible, all day long. These people are just finding the things that are like horrible accidents, horrible assassinations, ISIS videos, and they're just taking them down.
Right. You know, I was on Jim Norton's show one time. He showed me a video of a guy fucking a snake. And I'm like, dude, I don't want to see any of this shit.
Was it Jim? Was he fucking his snake?
Yeah, Jim. No, it wasn't Jim. It wasn't
guy.
Jim. And he's very, very funny. And I love to, whatever I do with Jim is fun. But he looks at anything on the,
He's an animal.
people
I love
cutting
him.
the heads off and all that stuff. But he just said, well, look at this. And I'm like, the guy's, it's snake pussy.
Yeah.
He found a snake pussy and stuck his.
Well, you ever see a snake egg? It's, regular sized cock. So, it's a fucking hole.
Yeah.
Let's find a hole that dudes haven't fucked. I'll find you a hole that can't be fucked.
Find the fetish.
I love Jim Norton for the same reason why I love you. He's just himself. Like, he's not pretending to be anybody. He's himself.
He's not pretending to be somebody that won't watch a man fuck a snake.
He'll watch men fuck men. He loves everything. He likes transgender women. He gets off on it. He gets and he's open about it. Talks about it all the time, to the point where when he was on Opie and Anthony, and when they were in their prime, it was like one of their major themes was that Norton is into transgender women.
What's that called?
I don't know. It's called being Jim Norton.
Right.
He's happy.
I mean, there's got to be a name, right?
Yeah. There's probably some name. There's probably like a slang term for it.
Right.
And then there's probably some sort of,
I would think if anybody knew what that was, it would be you.
Yeah, I've never heard. Jamie, do you think there's a word for dudes who are only into transgender women? I bet there is. If there isn't, we could probably make one
Now you're
up.
talking about
For sure, there's got to be one.
a man that's now a woman,
Right.
not a woman that's now a man.
Well, this should be two, right? There's peggers, which is a man who's now a woman but still has a dick, and she can peg you.
Yeah, right.
She's your girlfriend, and she can fuck your ass.
I had
Hello.
I had sex with a woman that was she played for the WNBA.
Whoa.
She said 6'3", but I know she was a full head taller than me. And she was so tall she could stick a finger in my ass.
Whoa.
Her arms were so long that she could reach around while I was and stick a finger in my ass. And I'm like, let's just go to the church, and get
Let's
married
get this
now.
over with.
Yeah.
Make some gladiator children.
That's right. Big, funny.
Dude, come on.
In my search here, I haven't found that term, but have
What
you
have
ever
you been
heard
searching for?
lesbian? A lesbian man.
A lesbian man. What does that mean? What does that
Okay.
mean?
I think my
I'll take a stab at it.
Okay, help me.
It's a man who turns himself into a woman, but he still likes women.
Yeah, but he can keep his penis, I think. I think that's what's going on.
Does he keep his penis?
Yeah.
He
Some of
doesn't
them
turn
identify.
into. He just likes to be pegged by women.
Oh.
And he's not into guys. I've never heard that term. I'm looking.
Boy,
for
you
it.
really-
So what are they
Dictionary.
calling him?
A lesbian man.
Right.
So he only likes getting
You know what I
fucked
want to
by
be?
women.
A bisexual.
Wow.
That
I
just
get
opens
it.
the field up all the way. That shuts it down. You're right. And who's going to...
That's like a IQ
How
quiz
big is that pond to fish from?
question.
Not very big,
Not very
right?
big. A lesbian man. Imagine if like that's all you'll put the bat signal out. I'm a lesbian man. I'm just looking for gals to peg me. I bet there's a lot of them that would want to fuck you just for revenge. How much of that is women that? Why is it that the pretty women don't seem to have any problem with men? Like a lot of them are like pretty easygoing about men, but if you have bad genetics, like if you got dealt a wrong end of the stick, that is if there's like people talk about income inequality in this country, and that's definitely a real thing. But if there's a real thing, it's like who do people want to fuck inequality in this country, and
Right.
that's off the goddamn charts, right? I mean, there's just as men and as women, we have to understand that some people they have a unearned tyranny on sexual affection. It's unearned. They didn't have to do anything.
Nothing.
Like these Russian women that the people are lying to you about.
Right.
Yeah. You meet them and you go, Jesus. It's just Russian gladiator genetics in perfect like model form, and you're like, holy shit, let me get the fuck out of this room quick.
I was on a cruise one time. I was married, and I had rented the back quarter. I rented the same spot Oprah stays in, and it cost a fortune. And we're out on the deck, and there's 2 big suites in the middle and another one just like mine at the end. But the one that was in this one, which was also a real expensive room, was this Russian dude, and he was short, kind of chunky and bald. But the girl that was with him was just a 12, and I knew as second I saw her, I was fucked, because there's no way my wife was not going to catch me just at least taking one little glimpse out of the corner of my eye. And then she was going, oh, that's what you want. You'd rather fuck her than me. And I'm like, no, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Why would I?
Why would I?
That's outrageous. What an outrageous assertion. What an accusation. Yeah. If they only knew how vulnerable we are to a woman like that. It's like that woman can, there's a lot of people that woman can like run their life. And they'll meet a guy who's an accountant who's never fucked a 12. And they'll start talking to him, and basically
there's nothing you can do.
Anything they want to do, as long as they're willing to actually touch him,
right.
As long as they're willing to stick their fucking beautiful tongue in that guy's mouth,
he's helpless,
suck on his lips, and grind that pussy against his dick, and grab his ass cheeks.
See you later.
And put your finger on the base of his taint and rub it while you stick your tongue down his throat, and his dick is hard as a rock. Woo!
These things have never happened to this man.
There goes the neighborhood. Dun,
right.
dun, dun,
you just back the car up to the house, throw the keys in the fucking yard, tell the kids.
Yeah, that's that Ice-T song.
I really hoped it wouldn't turn out this way. But
there goes the neighborhood. Ice-T and body count. Fuck. Yeah, there's certain women that they could just run you.
Oh. I know. I get it.
Yeah, man.
I get it.
I married one of them. Gotta be careful. They just get you. If you're not, here's the thing.
Yeah.
How much of that, like for dudes who there's certain cases where it's not gonna work. Like, God damn it, this dude, he's like a small sheep, and he married a wolf.
Right.
It's just a matter of time before she fleeces him and gets the fuck out of Dodge. And hopefully he'll still be alive. But this is not going to work out. But we've all seen that before. We've all seen that.
I wish I could tell you this story.
I wish you could too. Let's shut this fucking podcast off and resume in 10 minutes.
Okay, all right. Let me tell you this story, because I just don't want to say it because it's intertwined with something.
Right.
But it's very, very pertinent to what you just said.
Is there any legal ramifications? Can anybody go to jail?
No.
Can anybody get sued?
No. No, I don't think so. And it's the truth. Okay, so I'll just create a fictional scenario.
Let's call the gentleman, what do you want to call him?
Let's call him Todd Blaker.
Todd Blaker.
Okay, no, I can't even do it this way. Because I'll get chastised. I'll get.
Thank you.
I think people would find out.
Slow down.
Let's
be careful.
And also, I'm drunk, and I know you get me drunk on your show. And
it's my fault. Those fucking people on Reddit, they had their fingers above the keys. They were hovering. They were ready to start searching.
Right. No. There is no such thing as a guy named that, and I will not tell the story on this.
There's no need.
But anyway, what was amazing was, I saw it happening in front of me.
Yeah.
His wife was, they'd been married for a long time, and he didn't look like much, and at all, and there was a kind of an assistant, and that was ridiculously gorgeous, and so I just looked at that, and I was like,
you know where this is going.
Yeah, I do, and it went exactly.
I've seen
where
that
I
before.
thought it was going, and there was nothing he can do. I mean, there was absolutely, he was completely powerless over this person. There was nothing he could do. He would give everything.
Over you. Oh yeah, like Gary Oldman in Dracula. Remember that? Winona Ryder was just hypnotized by him.
Yeah,
she was open her shirt in the middle of the night, and Gary Oldman would be slithering into the fucking windows as mist.
Right. or Body Heat with.
That's what it's like. Oh yeah, with Kathleen Turner.
Oh, yeah,
throws the fucking chair through the window.
Oh, so throw it right. That
Yeah,
fucking
it's
ice
like-
in the fucking bathtub.
Yeah, he didn't even want to use the door to fuck her.
Oh,
People
yeah, right.
forgot how
Break
goddamn hot.
in. Oh, yeah, that was great.
How hot was Kathleen Turner back in the Disney?
Oh,
Woo! People
God,
don't know.
as hot as it gets. As hot as it gets. She was so sexy.
I mean, she developed some health problems as she got older, but when she was young, holy
moly.
shit.
Yeah, it was amazing.
shit, was she hot.
Kathleen.
Yeah. There was a lot of
If
those
you ever
gals.
feel like rubbing one off thinking about me, I owe you a few. So go ahead and do it.
Nice reciprocation. Yeah, it's hard when you're watching a guy get preyed upon. When you're watching like a man struggle with the fucking spider's web, and you're like, well, hey man, you know it'll be fun when she does fuck you.
Right? Yeah. Yeah, right.
So as long as you can stay active,
Right.
get close to her, don't let her get too much money.
Yeah.
Be careful.
Yeah. I know because you know the wife had been around for a long time and it was a contract, so
Right.
you know
Yeah.
so there goes that part of it. But I think the paperwork was fairly solid, and towards the end of like a limit or whatever. Okay, now everybody's gonna know who it is. Okay.
Let's
all
keep
right.
moving.
All right.
I knew a guy who was about to marry a gal and he shouldn't have, and he was trying to do no prenuptial, and my friends were screaming at him, like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" And he's like, "Look, man, I don't. If it doesn't work out, I'd like her to have half." And they went, "What? the fuck?" It's almost like, you know, like you wish you had garlic to put around his neck.
Right now, you're telling Noah about the flood. So really, they
Listen
had
to me,
two
bitch.
animals, and they
Listen
both
to
put
me,
them
bitch.
on, and they're
You're ugly. She's not.
Yeah.
Okay, understand this. The
Yeah.
world is not fair. The reality of not fair is you made enough money to attract her, but she's got a web, and you might get hooked. You might get injected, or you might be able to figure out a way to keep her nervous.
right. How you do that, Joe?
You gotta act mysterious, bro.
I'm
You
serious.
gotta have like a book.
Is that how you did it?
Yeah, special books that you read. You got to be moody. You got to go on early morning runs while they're still asleep. You got to show powers that they
I'm
don't
not
possess.
doing any of these things.
You got to show
I'm
powers
not
they
doing
don't
it.
possess.
I haven't done one of these things, Joe.
You have to be different. You have to be able to quote Shakespeare. Yeah, you got to be. You got to be willing to give up a lot of money. If you're an ugly dude and you got a hot wife, you got a certain amount of time before she gets bored with you.
Good
she wants
Lord.
to fuck her trainer.
Right? Her trainer. You're right.
What I think is going to happen is within the next
I've seen
few
that
years,
exact same thing
Oh,
happen.
I've seen that happen. Yeah, I've been friends with a lot of people where that's happened. What I think is going to happen within the next 50 years is they're going to be able to eliminate the idea of unattractive people. Legitimately through DNA.
Right.
I think they're going to be able to do that. Where they're not going to know the world that we knew when we were kids. No internet, no fake tits. Sometimes people were just unattractive. No
Right.
one knew anything about diet. Nobody worked out. Nobody worked out.
Yep.
When I was in high school, nobody fucking worked. Dudes would like bench press and shit. But, you know, like how many women lifted weights when we
None.
were in high school?
No, the cheerleaders were in good shape.
Yeah, for a little while.
Yeah, for a little while, and they got
Yeah.
fat.
Nobody kept going.
Did Rocky really start like the big movement?
Started my movement.
That's what I've read about it, but I don't know how true it is because I was way too young.
Dude, when Rocky came out, I think I was 7, and I drank raw eggs and ran around the block. And I told Sylvester Stallone that.
I don't doubt that one single bit.
I 100% did. I was like, holy shit, I want to be a fighter. I started drinking eggs and running. I never ran. I was 7 years old. The fuck am I doing running? Maybe I was 8.
It had no such effect on me.
Dun, 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 dun. I was like, we're running. I'm fucking running. It was amazing. Maybe I was 8. I don't even know how old I was. But I remember it when it came out. I'd never been more inspired for something in my life. That movie changed the world. People don't even understand.
How good it was. He lives
Yeah.
on my street, by
Does
the
he
way.
really?
Yeah, he does.
He's
I
coming
saw
on
him
the
one time
podcast.
driving his Range Rover with a big cockatiel on his shoulder. And I'm like, well, that's kind of cool.
There he is.
There he is.
Running around, fucking weights in his hand and shit. Running with Converse All-Stars. One of the reasons why I wear them to this day. They might not be All-Stars. They might be Keds. They might be like some cheap Walmart version. Who knows? But this is some fucking epic shit in the 1970s. What year was this movie? What? Let's take a guess. What year do you think it was? I want to say it was like 79.
Yeah, 76.
76. The Spirit
Maybe.
of 76 was the rematch. No, it was 76 because that was when Apollo Creed.
I one
76.
time,
Yeah.
I had a middle act
exactly-
that was doing one-nighters across, I believe it was Alabama. He drove a 1970. He drove the Bicentennial Vega, right? So it was a Vega. The 76 Vega had 76. Some things that would celebrate the sesquicentennial or whatever it was. No, it was like probably 200 years. I guess I don't know. I don't know. A long time.
I was 9 years old when this movie came
Boom,
out, so that's
boom.
exactly how old I was. I gotta tell you, his technique's not that good. He needs to tighten up on his swing, like the way he's throwing punches.
Wait, so that would have been
Meat.
76.
He needed a coach.
He needed a coach. Well, he got one in Carl Weathers. This was in Rocky 2.
Rocky 1.
Right, Rocky 2, Carl Weathers became his... Or was it Rocky 3? 3, right? Because that was when he fought
He had
Mr.
to
T.
be clever, yeah. He had to
That's
fight him
right.
Right.
Yeah.
Before he's dead.
Hey, woman, since that man ain't got no heart, I bet you stay up every night wishing you had a real man. Bring your pretty little self over to my apartment tonight, and I'll show you a real man.
He probably would have too.
Wow, I couldn't believe he was saying that to Rocky.
Right. Right. It was like if he was saying it to Wahoo McDaniels.
Yeah, man.
Oh, I didn't even finish that story.
Oh, yeah. What happened?
So here's what happened. My first encounter with the police. I found out that the bad guys were coming out of one side, one dressing room, and the good guys were coming out of the other side. So I went up to the stands and waited for the Super Inferno to come out. And when he came out, I spit on him. I just spit on him. Just a big old. I hated it. I did. I've never hated anybody
How old are you at the
before.
time?
I'm 8. Just spit on him, and the cops saw me do it, and they came and got me, and they took me to my cousin. And they're like, he spit on the Super Inferno, and I was like, he was like, oh, that's horrible, and if he does anything, you just keep it. And so, but afterwards, my cousin thought it was hilarious.
Of course he did. That's a story.
I was trying to put him out.
Yeah.
The Super Inferno.
Do you think you... Oh, I get it.
Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever been to see a live professional wrestling match other than Eleanor Kerrigan from the Comedy Store.
Well,
saw her.
Tony and those guys, they go to these things.
Yeah.
And,
yeah.
and they're like, you got to go with us. And I'm like, nah, all right.
Tony was responsible for 10 minutes of my last special. Me shitting on him for loving pro wrestling.
Right. It was. I remember it.
He loves it. Yeah, he does that show. The four. What is it called?
Four Stormin, I believe.
Four Stormin. It's they do a wrestling podcast from the Comedy Store with a bunch of other comics. Who are the other guys? You find out their names. You can find it out online. But yeah, he loves that shit. Loves it. He's always like, dude, you gotta watch it with me. You'll love it. I loved it when I was a kid.
It's the Store Horseman.
Oh,
Sorry,
Store
I just correct
Horseman.
that, yeah, I
Oh,
thought that didn't
perfectly.
sound right.
And who are the gentlemen that are involved in this
pulling it up.
venture with him? Fun show. I did it once.
Tony Hinchcliffe, Johnny Escortis, Matt Edgar, and Josh Martin.
There you go.
There you go.
There's
Yeah.
somebody else too. Chris Burns.
There you go.
He's up on top.
There you go. Yeah, they do it from the basement. You've been in that studio downstairs in the basement?
I did a podcast out of there. Yeah.
Fucking great down there, man. I love the fact that the Comedy Store has embraced podcasts.
You know what? The Comedy Store embraces what's important always over any other place. So you know what? They embrace comedians. And they, customers really come second to the comics there. So because there's one parking lot. People probably not know this, but there's one parking lot. Holds about 30 cars or something like that, or 20 cars or whatever. And guess who gets to park there? The comedians that are playing that night. They get to pull right up and park by the door. And that is so cool to me. And not only that, there's a bar that if your name is not written on that building, you can't go in it without somebody whose name is written on that building.
Yeah.
And and it's so cool to have your name written on that building and go to that bar that's just for you. And I they have my number one tequila and I can smoke cigars, and not everybody can smoke in there, but I get that one little extra deal.
They don't give a fuck.
And,
They'll let you do whatever you want in there.
So and there, there's a place to smoke pot. They built a glass piano for Pryor to snort cocaine off of because they understood. Here's what they understood, Joe. Here's what they understood. They understood that comics are insane.
Yeah.
So come be insane here.
Yeah.
If you're crazy, we get it. We don't care.
Yeah.
Come be crazy here. And then at the Improv, you had Bud Friedman going, language, watch your language. He'd fucking say that. I heard him say it. And the first time I ever came to the Comedy Store, which was probably in 90 or 89, I made a sojourn out here, to see what happened. So I don't know anything. I don't have any friends. I don't know anything. I stayed in the cheapest hotel room on Sunset Boulevard, which was $50, which was outrageous back then. And the first day I got into a hotel, into an elevator with this huge black transvestite that was all dressed up going to a show, going to a one of those big drag queen shows, and I was like, okay, all right, and but I went to the Comedy Store first, and it was a Monday night, and they fucking put me on. I told them I've been doing, stand-up in Texas for, a couple of years, and they fucking put me on. And I didn't do very well, and not necessarily, early in the set, same piano player, nothing changes. And but I would go to the Improv, and Buddy would come over to me and go, and he knew me because he'd seen me do open mic at the Improv or be the opening act in the Improv in Dallas, and he'd come up to me and go, Ron, could you do me a favor? And I'm like, yeah, Bud, what? Could you stand over there because you're blocking the way through here for the I'm like, okay, a little further, okay. So they just wouldn't. I was a new guy, and all I needed was, a break, whether I deserved it or not. They gave it to me at the store. The store has a heart that way.
The store is, the art form is primary. That's everything.
Yeah, it's everything.
It's
everything.
It's
built around that art form.
They didn't used to let the agents and the managers in. You couldn't get a ticket. You had to buy a ticket. If you were a CAA agent, you wanted to come see this guy or that guy or Ron White, you had to buy a ticket. That was the only place in town. So the agents couldn't just come in and run the place like they did in a lot of places. They would come, and they would be in the back of the room talking. I remember I went to a showcase once. It was back when William Morris put on this showcase of the comedians they represented, and they did it at a club, like a nightclub on Sunset. And Nick DiPaolo was on stage.
Yeah.
And they asked me to perform. I'm like, you're out of your fucking mind. I'm like, there's no way I'm going to perform at this. I know what this is. I'm like, I'm not looking to get hired for anybody. I'm already represented. I go, I'm going to watch. I go, this is going to be a disaster. So I go with my manager, and I'm in the top level, and everyone's talking. All these fucking agents and agents' assistants are drunk.
Crowd.
They're not even watching.
For no reason.
They're not even watching, Ron. And so I'm watching these guys struggle on stage where John Henson goes up, and then Nick DiPaolo goes up. And Nick was the only one who said anything about it. And about everybody fucking talking at the top. Like, these are my fucking agents. This is unbelievable. He was making fun of it. But it was... the Comedy Store would never allow that. They would kick everybody out of that room. Get the fuck out of here.
Right.
Get out of here.
And they still to this day don't tolerate that kind of shit. They don't breed that kind of thing.
You can't have Hollywood and comedy.
And also, let me go on record as saying this, Joe. I'm not saying I don't like the other rooms, and I'm not saying I'm not glad they're there, and I'm not saying I don't need them as bad as I need the store. They're good, solid comedy rooms, and I think they're trying to make the adjustments, and they're starting, because somebody asked me the other day at one of the other clubs, why do the comics hang out at the Comedy Store? I'm like, oh yeah, let me tell you. Well, number one, you don't sell my tequila, and they do, but also they when I come to your place, I got a valet park and pay for it. You pay me $25 to do a set. They pay me $35. Now both of these numbers are low. But to some comics, they'd rather have that other 10. They notice the $10.
The guys who need the money for sure.
So
notice
in
it.
a lot of cases now, you have to choose between those two clubs. Is it still that way?
No,
I mean, I know it was.
No, the store and the Improv in particular get along really well. We get along really well now. And Paige, who does all the booking for the Improv, is always at the store, and she's good friends with Adam.
Okay,
so we're all palling around
good.
together.
That's good. Yeah,
that's why I offered you a spot on the show that I'm doing tonight at the Improv if you wanted to do it, because I'm there
tonight?
all the time. Yeah,
you're doing a show tonight?
Yeah, I'm doing a show at 8:00 tonight at the Improv. You got another one Thursday night at the Improv?
I'll do
anytime.
I'll do the one tonight.
Yeah, Ron White.
Yeah,
beautiful.
I mean, look. How drunk am I now? And what time is it?
The perfect time. It's 5:00.
All right.
By the time 8:00 rolls around, you'll be simmering. You'll be like braised beef.
I'm gonna need Adderall.
You'll be falling off the bone.
That's what I'm gonna.
Are you putting it into your schedule? It's 3 hours from
now.
No.
Oh, Jay McGraw, your
My
boyfriend
brother,
is.
I love him. I had his daddy on the show.
I know he's calling me now.
His daddy was dropping science. His daddy. His dad's a fucking genius. Dr. Phil.
Yep.
He's a great guy. Like, people who don't know Dr. Phil, he's a fucking great guy.
You know, it's he sent me a text the other day, and he goes, "I've got this idea. You're gonna think it's crazy." And so we meet at the Beverly Hills Hotel, and I play a lot of golf with Doc, and I know him well, and I have for 10 years or whatever.
Who's Doc?
Dr. Phil.
Oh.
And you remember who we're talking about?
Yeah, but he said Doc. I never called him Doc. I call him Phil.
Oh, I call him Doc. So,
Jay's dad.
Yeah, so
Hi, Jay's dad. Can Jay come out and play? That's what I say.
So he goes, all right, here's what we should do. We should do a 2-man show, and I know he's out of production, and I know he's bored, and he's also hurt. So he's had that motorcycle wreck, and
he's got new shoulder surgery.
Right,
brand new one.
So he's like, he really can't play golf, and I know he's just bored. And so he really and I would do anything Dr. Phil wanted to do, because I love spending time with him, and anything he does is a big success anyway. So I would do it, but here was his idea.
Okay,
it's a 2-man show on Broadway, right? And he goes, and then I'm not sure how it starts. And I'm like, okay, it would probably start where the curtain opens and you and I are standing there because it's a 2-man show on Broadway. That's probably how it starts. And he goes, and then we could do a Q&A. And I'm like, no, we'd have to do something before the Q&A, Doc, right? Because we've done that before and it's hilarious, right? As close as we are, I mean, where we're born and our circumstances in life. And he's completely undimensionally fucking beyond me as far as any kind of success that anybody's ever had. But we both came from nothing in the same part of the world, and so we have this connection that people have a hard time understanding. I can't believe you and Dr. Phil are literally. We tell people we love each other, and that's, I mean, and to give you a good example of that, he took me diving. We flew on his Gulfstream to the Cayman Islands, and I didn't even have a certificate or anything, but I'd had one, and it was just expired. And so we went on this dive, and he watched me like I was 4 years old the whole time we were underwater. And if I got close to something I shouldn't touch, he's like, so I know he loves me, right? I know he loves me, and so, but he really didn't have an idea. But I just knew that I knew that he was bored and he wanted to have lunch and talk about something. I'm like, let's talk about it, because I would do anything. I would love to figure out something to do with him that makes sense, because we come off really fun together in a juxtaposition situation, right? And our views, even though we come from a similar background, how different the views are in some ways and how similar they are in some ways. So it's fun stuff.
No,
we should do your podcast together.
I would love it.
Yeah, has Doc done it?
Yeah, he just did it. He just did it like 2 weeks ago, right?
Yeah, I knew that. I knew that.
That's
I knew
right.
that. He told me.
No, he's exceptional. Love that guy. He's a fucking easygoing guy too. Really
Yep.
easy to be around.
Right.
You know, like comfortable in his own skin. So, you know, there's a reason why he's so successful.
Right.
It's not like anybody could do that. Like, look at that
Oh.
Dr. Oz guy. That Dr. Oz guy. I watch him and I was like, I don't know. I don't know, Doc.
Well, you know, he does 3 unscripted hours a day.
All day. And he does a podcast now.
And I did his podcast.
crazy.
Because also during that lunch, he said, I also have a podcast, and I'm going to start it up, and I'm going to do a few people before I do you, just get used to it, and then I'll have you come on. I'm like, well, for sure I'll do that.
How funny is that? He thinks he needs to get used to it.
All right. Yeah, he does unscripted television
all day long.
with a camera in his face all day long. Well, it turns out he didn't need to get used to it. He was great at it from the very beginning.
Of course he was. Yeah. That's the same exact skill. He talks to people. He knows how to talk to people. He knows how to listen. That's
He does.
Yeah, that's like what is missing
Yep.
in a lot of people when it comes to doing this.
I was playing golf with him one time when I was going through a divorce, and people ask me, does he give unsolicited advice? And I'm like, he doesn't give solicited advice, even if you ask. So I'm playing golf with him, and I'm like, Doc, this divorce is killing me. It's just killing me. And he goes, keep your head still when you putt. That's what he said. And I'm like, what? He goes, keep your head still when you putt. You're in a better mood when you putt well, but you're moving your head all over the place. So why don't we start with keep your head still when you putt, which now is a metaphor for a lot of things to me, is keep your head still when you putt. You know, do what you do well. You know, it's what makes you feel better, whatever, you know. But in that particular case, those were really simple words, and I know they were right off the cuff, and I've thought about them all the time since. You keep your head still when you putt.
That's solid advice.
Yeah, right. So it's a little be more centered. You know,
be in the zone.
I'm not.
If you were playing pool, keep your head down when you shoot.
Right. Keep your head down when you shoot.
Don't jump up on the shot.
Right. And that was
follow through.
But you wouldn't exactly call it advice, but it was something I listened to and continue to think about to this fucking day.
It is advice because if you're really good at golf in that respect, if you know how to not move your head, like that's a discipline where you can apply that to the rest of your life.
Right.
If you're loose and you're not thinking and you're fucked up and you're not using good technique, your head's going to be all over the place.
Right.
Same thing with pool. Stay down on your shot.
Right. Well, now archery. You know, keep your head still.
Yep. Follow through. Correct follow through. It's very important. So more you try to control it, be all herky jerky and shit. Archery is one of the most zen things I've ever done in my life. Surprisingly zen.
You know, Foxworthy, when he built his big house in Georgia, he had deer targets set up that he could walk out on the balcony of his office and get his bow and arrow. Full whop!
Yeah.
Full whop!
I have them in my yard. I have them all over the place.
We had a deer problem in our neighborhood, and I said, you know what you ought to do? Just shut the gates and turn Foxworthy loose in here with a pillow, and he would kill everything in here. He's a natural-born killer, he is.
You got to be real careful with people shooting arrows in neighborhoods. They do that in certain places. They have these residential deer hunting permits where they allow bow hunters to come in and shoot deer in, suburban communities. Because they just have such an overpopulation that too many people are hitting them with their cars.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, so, there's places like, I think there was one place in
Texas, you can feed them Doritos out of your hand.
Yeah.
They'll just spread around you and go, yeah, here's a bag of Doritos.
Especially those high fence places, right, where they have feeders set up for them. There's a place in Pennsylvania. Look up, this is true. There's a neighborhood where you can hunt deer there 365 days a year.
Story.
A pig story? Tell me now.
No, go ahead.
No, I'm done.
All right.
Jamie will Google the Pennsylvania place where you can hunt deer 365 days a year.
All right. So let me figure out a way to tell this story.
Okay.
Jay, our buddy Jay McGraw, is a TV producer, right? So they produce The Doctors and the Dr. Phil's show and the Bull on CBS, but they also have another 10 or 12 shows on any level of cable, and if they can sell it, they'll make it. It's a TV production company. So the guy that made the movie, and I always screw up his name, so I'm going to have you look it up. That did the movie about the kid, and it took 16 years to make. Linklater, am I saying it right? From Texas.
I don't know that movie. What was that movie? They followed him from the time he was a kid?
Yeah, but the movie took 16 years to make.
Oh, yeah.
It was called About a Boy.
Boyhood? About a Boy? Boyhood?
Yeah. So, and the director was...
Jamie's got a lot of tabs open.
I think Linklater.
Yep.
Yeah. And
Okay.
so he bought two. I just want to get the story right.
Got it.
He bought two miniature potbelly pigs that turned out to be not miniature potbelly pigs.
Whitney Cummings says that's not real at all. Those miniature pigs are just starved little pigs.
Let me finish. Let me finish. All right. So he needs to find something to do with these pigs, and it turns out in Bastrop, Texas, where he lives. Now, this is a very famous, artistic, probably one of the best directors alive, and he's from Texas. He did the first movie with Matthew McConaughey about living in Austin. You just get me so wasted on this show. I can't ever remember anything. But anyway,
Matthew McConaughey with AIDS, right?
No.
No? Is that what you
No,
said?
this was the first thing Matthew McConaughey. He really discovered McConaughey when he was going to University of Texas and did the movie. What?
Wow.
I got to start bringing a friend with me.
What is it?
Boyhood?
Huh?
Which one? I'm sorry.
I don't know.
The one you just talked about?
Yeah.
Boyhood?
No.
No, Matthew McConaughey.
The one with
his first movie.
The Matthew McConaughey and that director first movie Matthew McConaughey ever did, I think, was
Dazed and Confused?
Dazed and Confused. Right.
Old school. All
Right.
right.
Right. Yeah,
Right.
right.
About the deer.
So
Oh, okay. Was the deer thing true?
Yes, I found a neighborhood where it's true, but I'll wait.
Okay.
here, and I'm going to insert a story. All right. So this is my Matthew McConaughey story. When I was moving to Austin, I have friends there that are, I like Austin. And I got friends, but I always thought, I'll end up being friends with Matthew McConaughey, and because we know a lot of the same people, and we both smoke pot. We're both from Texas. We're both, and that's what'll happen. And I love him, and I really like working with him. And I was like, that's who I'll be friends with. It'll be great. It'll be a great part of my thing in Austin. So I meet Matthew McConaughey at a charity event. But in this scenario, I have imagined him saying, "You're Ron White? You're my favorite comedian ever. I got a hot tub going off in my backyard with a couple of girls, and I got these great fucking joints, and we'll go over there and smoke pot and drink tequila and have sex with these girls."
Wow.
But what happened was he went, "Oh, nice to meet you," and then he went on to meet the next person. And there was a long pause there where I should have said, "I love your work," but I didn't because I already had it planned out that he was supposed to say how much he loved me. And so I just left the long pause there. And then when it was all over with, I should have told him I loved him. I should have told him I loved him, but I didn't.
That's the problem with planning.
So anyway, back to the big story. So this guy finds the pig rescue and decides he wants to do a documentary about it. Well, he calls Jay McGraw's right-hand woman, brilliant girl that runs things for Jay, and I can't remember her name because I'm an idiot and I've met her 2 times, but and says, "I'd like to do a documentary on this thing." So she tells Jay, and he goes, "Linklater? All right." Yeah, so he calls CBS, and I don't even know I should be telling this story. And they say, "Fuck yeah, we'll do anything he wants to do." It's got his name on it, right? He's got a movie coming out with Cate Blanchett that's supposed to win everything there is, and he's an amazing guy, just an artist. Doesn't care a thing about anything but art. Doesn't matter if it takes 16 years to make. This guy's amazing. So Jay has this idea of us doing Judge Roy Bean with me as Judge Roy Bean, but doing a comedy. And we're not even zeroed in on what, but we like me doing that character of preacher, hangman, bartender, right? So, and I would like to play the role, and I wouldn't mind finding a TV show to settle into at my age, for a while, if I could do it. But it's got to be the right thing with the right people,
right?
Or I won't do it. And so CBS says, "Yeah, we'll do it." Fuck yeah, we'll do it. And so they're gonna have a meeting, and so Jay calls me and he goes, "Well, why don't we talk to him about this Judge Roy Bean thing?" So I live in Austin, right? So I'm right 27 miles from Bastrop, and so I go out there for the meeting, and it's in this little restaurant on a river, and they talk about that for a little while, and then we talk a little bit about Judge Roy Bean, and then it's time to go to the pig rescue. Well, I don't have to go to the pig rescue, but now I'm big. I really want him to direct this film because I know if he does, it'll be made a film. It'll be a big thing if he does it. So I go. 250 pigs, well kept and well fed, fenced in pens. There's a feral pig problem in that part of Texas, and they have these cameras that are predator cameras. And they have footage of these huge feral pigs walking up to this fence, looking at these pigs, going, "How'd y'all get in here? Really? What are they? You lay in the mud and they bring you food? What the? How do you? We don't even know. We don't know how we got in here. We're just in here." And they're anywhere from. They had some rescues that were little bitty to 750-pound pigs. All of them sold under the same premise that these are miniature pigs. And people don't have
750-pound pigs.
750 pounds.
Who are these people that are selling miniature pigs? Are they still doing that?
Yeah. Alex Raimundo bought 3 of them. You think I'm kidding? He bought 3 of them and turned them loose in the wild, and because they turned into pigs. What are you going to do? Well, he lived up in the high mountains.
He's part of the problem,
right? Part of the problem. Not the
He's
solution.
part of the problem.
So, okay, here you go. So we go. I'm walking around. It's well done, and this guy seems really reasonable, right? And he's also an executive for a construction company, a big construction company, and this is his passion, and his. All right, this is the part I can't tell. So anyway, no, I just can't say this part of it.
I understand.
And
pigs.
So. And I end up liking the pigs. They're nice. If you scratch them, they have arthritis. The big ones, they can hardly get around. But it's basically who's going to save these pigs kind of an operation. And I'm like, the Carnita guy that would probably pitch in. If you wanted to retire. Because I asked the guy, I said, what's the where do they go from here? And he goes, "Well, this is it. This is it." So,
so either someone adopts them or they get turned to bacon.
That's it. They live there until they die.
Wow,
is the way I understand.
Pigs are weird because they're almost like dogs.
I left this part out.
Oh,
so we're in the house talking about the show. And I've had enough of it, and I've got a joint in my pocket, and I really want to smoke some pot and hang with the pigs because it seems like that would be really fucking fun, just to scratch on the pigs all stoned and shit, and that's how mature I am. And so this pig comes out of the back squealing, and they go, "That's Whitney Cummings' pig."
Ah!
So
she rescued a pig during the Malibu fires. She documented it very heavily on her Instagram.
Yeah, I'll show it to you.
I've seen her pig.
I saw it in person.
In person?
That's Whitney Cummings' pig. So then, like a couple nights later, I'm up at the store, and Whitney Cummings is there, and I go, "Oh, wait till you see this."
She drove that fucking pig to
all
Texas.
the way across.
Took her like 2 days of driving. She's insane. Drove a pig in a car for 2 days. To a pig sanctuary. That is ridiculous. That is hilarious, dude.
That's Whitney Cummings' pig.
That's hilarious. That's crazy. I want to hear more of the story, but I got to piss so bad I'm going to pee my pants. 2
All right.
podcasts in a row. Talk to this guy. I'll be right back.
We can't just cut the thing off for
We
a
can.
while.
We could just cut it off totally.
Yeah,
Want to
let's-
end it? So we did
No.
2.5
I
hours.
don't.
Okay.
I don't want to
Okay.
end it because it's
Just hold, please.
it's 5:30. Yeah. We'll wait.
what's up?
I got nothing to do. I got nowhere to be.
I'm gonna piss so bad. Sorry.
How was you were on Kill Tony last night? You're telling me
Yeah.
you had a good time there?
Yeah. It was just a gas. I had friends. I had dinner with friends that night and in Malibu, and then came out and did that set. And it's just a great idea for a show, the Kill Tony show. If you have a chance to download that podcast, it's a hoot. It's so much fun to do. It's a live audience down at the Comedy Store. And it's a great premise, and I won't bore you with all the details, but
That's
you
okay.
can
It's
just tune in. And
If you check the video, it probably is up on YouTube.
oh yeah, it's a big. It's not Joe's show, but it's a big.
The band dressed
it's
up
a
as the
good
blue
size
collar.
show. Huh?
They said the band just up as the blue collar comedy guys.
Oh, they were. Oh, it was so
Jeremiah did a
funny.
good job.
Jeremiah doing Foxworthy was it really? Jeremiah just makes me laugh so hard. Everything he does just kills me, and he'll be, hopefully in my old age he'll be giving me mercy work because I tell him how good he is.
He has his own podcast too, at Jeremiah Wonders, where he does some voices and whatnot. So I don't know
Does
if
he
you've
have
ever done
guests?
it.
'Cause
Yeah, he does have guests. You should talk to him about it. I don't know that I didn't know that you weren't on it. I didn't want to say it that way, but yeah.
No, I haven't been on it. I always wondered why Bill Burr didn't have me on his show, and it turns out he didn't have anybody
Yeah,
on
he
his
does,
show.
he does them all by himself. Some people, a lot of comedians, Chris D'Elia does it all by himself too.
Oh, really?
He's had like one guest on. I think it was just his brother for a special, but he's done 130 or so all by himself. It's a lot. You could do one probably all by yourself too.
You know what?
Unless you
I
prefer
couldn't
to.
because
prefer not to.
I've got to save up thoughts for 8 months to do the Rogan show, and so I'm loyal to the I'm loyal to this show.
Do you know who that is?
Huh?
Do you know who that is?
No.
Mitzi Shore.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Our friend Taylor Boss, he painted that for me.
Wow.
How badass is that? That's an old picture of Mitzi when she was like 30-something years
She
old.
was cute when she
Oh
was
yeah,
young.
she was very hot. She was one of the most important figures in the history of comedy. One of the most important figures in my life, for sure. That lady mentored me.
All of us. I mean, all of us, because
Yep.
that's the only reason the store exists.
She
because
let the
of
inmates
her.
run the asylum.
Right?
She's the only person that let the
And
inmates
understood it.
run the
you know?
mental hospital. That's the actual original picture of her. How great is that?
Ah.
It's fucking amazing.
She's like Betty White. You ever see those titty pictures of Betty White when she was like 21 years old?
Yeah, but for Mitzi was so crazy and wild. Like, it's all right that she's got her nipples in that picture.
Right?
She's our friend Rose, who's Taylor's girlfriend, put a post on her when she died. I couldn't repost it. Like, for any other woman I met, might be able to repost it, but she said, like, I forget what she called her. Something. She called her like the greatest boss bitch in history. Like, I can't say that. I like it, but I can't repost that.
Right.
You know, just.
Didn't you just say it?
Yeah, but I mean, I can't say it. I can't put it on my Instagram. You know, I'm just repeating what she said.
Okay.
But it was just, to me, it was hilarious and accurate. A woman can say shit like that about a lady like her, and it doesn't look bad. A man calls her a boss bitch. Like, hey, have some respect, man.
Right.
It's fucking Mitzi Shore. But yeah, so Taylor painted it for me and hangs over the studio, watches over us.
You know, I genuinely don't think I ever met her.
No?
No.
Yeah, I had some
'Cause-
great conversations with her.
When I came in that first time, I was just in and out, and I had no idea what was going on, and then I really didn't come back to because I did a show in Newport Beach at the Laugh Stop out there, and just got this horrifically horrible review. Did I tell this story last time I was on? It was so bad.
How bad?
Oh, Joe. It was Joe. There was a picture of me. I'd only been doing stand-up for about 3.5 years, and so the guy that booked that room watched me do like an 8-minute set in Austin, and I had a killer 8 minutes, but he hires me to do 45 minutes, and and so I go out there, and I'm nervous anyway, right? Because that's a big club, and the two guys before me were Seinfeld and Slayton.
Jesus Christ.
So and then Ron White's 3.5-year-old booger eating moron thing, so at this point I don't realize how bad I am because I haven't read it yet, and so before I'm nervous, and I go, well, that's Duncan Strauss, and he writes the comedy reviews for the Orange County edition of the LA Times, which is about 6 million people. And I'm like, oh, I should have. Well, I wish he'd have given me a day or two to settle in. And so I do the set, and it's not great, and but it's not bad. You know, I think I pulled it off. You know, they laughed at it. You know, they laughed at what I'd put together and whatever it was, and I expect them to be there to congratulate me on how good the set was and shake my hand and do a little interview to build this great interview. So, but he wasn't there, and I'm like, oh, okay. Well, the next night there's like a little open mic night before me. So there's and one of the guys I know, Steve Epps from Texas, is on that, and then that night I fucking kill, and I'm really drunk, and you know, and I'm giving advice to other comedians, you know, because my ego's just flaring. I'm like, I'm probably going to leave my wife and go find that girl on the Tecate beer poster, and you know, it's amazing. And people are patting me on the back, going, "You're man, you are really, really good. Boy, this is amazing." I'm like, yeah, I am, and I am. So I'm staying at the Marriott Suites Hotel on the Bay, which is the nicest hotel I've ever stayed in. And you had to pay for part of it yourself, but that was all I had. I mean, I was making. I never made that much money before. It was like $1,400 or $1,500, and for a week, and so it's unbelievably beautiful with a gorgeous view. Phone, bathroom, you know, 2 bathrooms, big marble, everything, big, nice stuff. And I go back after that. Well, now the review comes out the next morning, and I get this massive hangover. I'm just sick, drunk, waking up, going, oh, Jesus Christ. And I blink my eyes and start going, oh, the review, the glorious review is out. The review that's going to be touting my praises to the masses all over this area of Southern California. Probably the beginning to my hugeness. And probably is what's going to happen. So it turned out I had bought a bag of popcorn when I was drunk. And I followed that popcorn trail from my bed, out the door, down the hall, into the elevator. The elevator I got on had popcorn on it, so it was the same one I came up in. I was just drunk, staggering around with a popcorn bag. And I followed that. Now, this place is just right down the block from the club. And when I go when I'm playing at a club, I hang out at the club a lot, you know, because those are the people I know anyway. Those have been my friends forever. So, and they're still my friends, you know. I love so these are the people that work there. So I walk in the door, and one of the girls that worked there looked at me and she goes, "Don't read it." Oh. And I'm like, "What?" They go, "Don't read it, Ron. It's not true. It isn't true. And it's a hatchet job." I'm like, "It's a what? A hatchet job?" So I'm like, "No, give it to me. I can read it. You know, how bad could it be?" So there's a big picture of me, this big, 6 million people, this big. The article was this big. It was a quarter of a page. And it said in big black print, "Even when white's not blue, he's not funny." And I dropped the newspaper on the floor. I couldn't hold up a 1-ounce newspaper because the life had just been sucked out of me. And I also agreed with them and felt like I had just been found out as a phony. And I was a phony. And I didn't belong here at all. And I picked it up and read it. And and it said Watching White's 41-minute show. So they were nice enough to point out I didn't. I just had to. I had to scrape and crawl to get to 41, much less the 45 I had agreed to. They pointed that out. It was like watching a polar bear lumber around on stage, and something comical or interesting happening only occasionally. Now, here's why I can quote that all these 29 years later. I went across the street to the liquor store and bought a bottle of tequila and a pack of razor blades. True story. I go back up to my Marriott suite on the bay and sit there at this big desk, and I'm just drinking this tequila, reading it over and over and over and over. And I got a big bag of weed, and I'm smoking pot. And I've convinced myself that they're going to cancel the show, because who would come to a show, right, with a review like that? And then I'm thinking, well, they probably have to pay me for the shows I did, even though I wasn't able to finish the week, right? So I just assume I'm fired. I genuinely believe that in my heart, that I'm fired. And so I wake up from this stupor, and I got a drool stain on this fucking article, and half a joint, and a bottle of I mean, it's dismal shit, right? It's dark time. And I walk down there, fuck, the show's sold out, both of them are. It's comedy in fucking 1990, 89 or 90, whatever it was, and all the clubs were sold out. Nobody gave a fuck about that fucking review. And they didn't give a shit. And then I went on stage because I was still a wreck, though. I'm drunk. I just woke up. I'm not very good anyway. I have no confidence whatsoever. I totally agree that I suck and I'm not worth a goddamn thing. And I go up there and have the worst set I've ever had on a sold-out house. And it was just sucked. I just sucked. It was horrible. And then the guy that booked me calls the club, and he goes, because he read the fucking article, and he goes, that's got to be a gut punch. I mean, it was long. There was other shit in it too, and none of it was good. And so then they get me on the phone with him, and because they asked them, they said, we just want to see if he's okay, and they're like, oh no, he's not okay. He's not okay at all. I'm like, Now I'm calling my wife going, I just want to talk to you because I love you so much. I'm not even thinking about the Ducati beer poster anymore. I'm just calling her, going, I just love you. I want to be together forever. And she's like kind of standoffish. It's like she could tell I had a bad review. Mm-hmm. So that kind of scared me away from L.A. for a while. And I realized then that they were right, and I should have been slapped in the face, and I wasn't good enough to be on that stage. I was not. And that guy actually apologized to me one time because I saw him later in live, and I'm like, no, dude, you were totally right. You were completely right. I should have been slapped in the fucking face.
3 years in, you're just getting your legs.
I had no business there.
Yeah.
And so, it all worked out the best way it possibly could have, but that also included a couple slaps in the fucking face going, you're not.
I think those are important.
Yeah.
I really do. I think in the moment those feel bad, but every big leap I've made as a comic is after I bombed.
Yeah.
Every big leap, for real. Like someone telling me they had a bad time at my show, I just felt like you were off. I'm like, fuck. That feeling makes me so hungry to figure out how to do it right. That's where it comes from. It makes you, you realize there's urgency to this thing. And then over the years, part of the fear of bombing is what makes me work so hard on new shit. Part of the fear is what makes me do so many sets. I'll do 2 podcasts a night, and then I'll do 4 shows.
Right.
I'll go to the store. I'll do 2 at the store. I'll do 1 or 2 at the Improv. I might even go to the Ice House or the Ha Ha. I'll fuck around all over the place.
These are all the reasons I'm not as good as Joe Rogan right here.
I get scared, Ron White. I get scared.
I do too. I do too. And I can't tell you at 62 I do all those sets, but I do go out and do sets.
You do a lot of sets.
And a lot of guys that are kind of in my age group really don't come out and do sets that much.
No.
But I come out and do sets and I hang out.
You're ageless, dude. We don't think of you. You know, you said that one time in the back room. You're like, I'm older than you guys, and we're like, we don't give a fuck. That doesn't mean anything. This thing is about comedy. It doesn't matter if you're lesbian, if you're trans, if you're from Philadelphia or the Philippines. No one gives a fuck. Are you funny? And if you're funny, that's all we care about. We don't care if you're 90 or 19. I mean, I'm real good friends with Allie
I'm
Mack.
not fucking 90.
Allie Makovsky is, what is she, 22 or some shit? She might be 22. She's one of my best friends. I love that girl. She's goddamn hilarious. She's a kid. We talk all the time. We talk about comedy. I have her. She hosts my sets at the Improv all the time. Nobody cares. Nobody cares about your age. They care about comedy. Dom Herrera is the same way. You know, nobody thinks that Dom Herrera is, oh, Dom Herrera is older than us. No, it's Dom Herrera is a goddamn comic. He's a monster. This is a very, very unusual group of humans. You really think about the people that we know. You know, if you looked at the entire population of the planet, there's 8 billion people, or 7.5. Is that what it is? 7.5? Some crazy shit. How many of those are comics? Is it 1,000?
Couple thousand.
The real ones? How many of them are headlined? How many of them can do a solid hour? How many of them have filmed a special? How many of them have 2, 3 specials? Jesus Christ, Ron White. You and I are in weird waters. There's only like
really
20 of us.
Yeah, maybe 20. You're right.
Maybe 20 of us.
Yeah, if that.
Yeah, we don't give a fuck how old you are, dude. You better stick around.
I'm fine, dude. I'm fine. I am drunk in the middle of the afternoon when I
don't give a fuck,
now
dude.
I've got work to do, thanks to you.
I had a friend of mine when I was my daughter had that event in Vegas, and I went down to see you. They're like, "You going to see a comic?" I go, "Dude, I'm going to see Ron White. Of course I'm going to go watch him." I go, have the chance. What am I doing? Sit with my wife and watch fucking To Catch a Predator or some shit?
Whatever that show is down there.
Whatever they're watching television or something like that. I'm going to go downstairs and watch Ron White. I'm at the Mirage. You know? I still love it. Still watching it. Still love it. To this day.
And it's, you know, it's really it's such a hotbed. I get into it with the guys at the Cellar in New York, and because they're all like, this is the most significant comedy club in America, and I'm like, it's the most significant 100-seater. You know?
Yeah, the idea that place is more significant than the store is hilarious.
Yeah,
that's so silly,
and it's still fun, and I love
that's
doing
great.
it.
It's great, but don't get silly.
Right? Don't be ridiculous.
Don't get silly.
Yeah, don't
You're
get
second
silly.
place
Yeah.
by a fucking large margin.
Right.
Like, come on, son. Dave Chappelle's up at the fucking store all the time. Chris Rock comes by. Louis C.K. I'm sure he'll be back.
All right.
It's a fucking crazy place, man. You're there. D'Elia's there. Brian Callen's there. Joey Diaz is there. It's chaos
I counted
there.
one night, and there were, I think it was 8 people in the show that make at least $50,000 every time they open their mouth in a theater in one fucking show for $14. Come to the fucking store,
it's crazy,
and watch a show. You know,
Yeah.
it's not, and if you come like on a weekend, it's not quite as strong because a lot of the guys are out and girls are out doing sets somewhere. But Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday,
one of the best
Sunday,
nights in the world.
It's you know, there's nothing like it because we all have to do what we're doing, and we're lucky to be able to do it where we do it.
Dude, one night the lineup was Tom Segura, Bill Burr, Bert Kreischer, Ali Wong, me, Joey Diaz, Chris D'Elia, Tom Papa, Ian. It was fucking crazy.
It's crazy.
It was
all the time.
crazy. By the time you got to the end of the lineup, you're like the Home Alone kid. Like, what the fuck? Look at this lineup. This lineup's insane.
Yeah, it is. It is. And it's also what makes it so fucking fun for me, and why it's, you know, I live in Beverly Hills, and I live 2 miles away, and that's what gets me off the couch to go live my life and blow the horn. And
it's a battery. That place is a battery. We're doing a lot of shows at the Improv, though. I'm doing 2 this week. I did 2 last week. I'm doing them all the time. What I talked to them about, I'm like, how about I just bring some of my friends over? Because like we could all do show like Santino will do a set at the Improv, and then he'll shoot over to the store and do his set. I'll do an 8:00 show. Store doesn't open till later. On weeknights, it's easy. So we've been doing a lot of shows down there too. The Improv is a great club, man. It just the lineups were weird. The way it was set up was weird. There was a lot of weird shit going on. But if you could just get the top-notch people, and I was talking to them, I'm like, look, we're right over there.
Right.
We could walk here. It's a mile away.
What?
You know, I mean, it's a mile away from the store to the Improv.
I love the Improv, but, you know, if you want to smoke a joint at the Improv, you have to
hard.
actually stand on Melrose in traffic and smoke your weed. And that ain't cool. And they're trying to change that. I believe they're going to change that. I believe they're looking at that.
Yeah.
Trying to make that. They're building that area on top where there's going to be a little balcony out on the roof of the part of it. And and I hope they do. And if they do, it'll make a difference.
It will make a big difference.
Yeah, it will.
The hang's not that good there. It's hard. And when you're waiting to go on stage, you're essentially in the hallway.
That's why Bud Freeman was going, Ron, could you stand over there?
Okay. Language. Mitzi Shore was literally like, you guys sort it out. She let everybody sort it out. Sort it out. She didn't give a fuck, man. She understood. Keep everybody safe.
Great.
Let the lunatics run the asylum.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they did.
I'll never forget the day she passed me, ever in my life. You're really funny. All right, you're a paid regular now. I was like, holy shit.
Now, explain to people what a paid regular is. They don't know.
Well, it's like you got the stamp of approval. You might actually have a career. Like, I wasn't sure if I was going to have a career in comedy. What's hilarious is I was on a sitcom at the time. I was out here to do a television show for Fox. I had been on Showtime already. I'd headlined a lot of clubs all over the country. Probably prematurely. I'd really only been doing stand-up for 6 years. But, you know, I had maybe a good 10, 15 minutes. I could actually do a real solid half hour if I had to, but 15 minutes that I could really kill with. And to be able to do a set in front of her, and she goes, you're a paid regular. I was like, I'm a fucking comedian. Holy shit.
Right. You've been given the nod.
I thought I was a fraud.
You're a made man.
I thought I was a fraud. Even when I was saying it, even when she said it, I was like, damn, I tricked her. I tricked all those people in the audience. I tricked her. That's how I felt. I felt like I tricked her. I felt like I tricked everybody. But everybody tricks everybody in the beginning.
Yep.
That's what the beginning is. The beginning
I just didn't trick that one guy.
But it's good that you didn't trick them.
No,
those
it's
hard hits, they're important.
Important stuff.
Eating shit on stage is critical. If you can't accept the fact that it's a process, you can't want everything to happen right away. And the only way for you to be really sure that it's not happening yet is to bomb.
Right.
Yeah. There's nothing tells you so succinctly that you're doing it wrong, like eating shit on stage.
Right. And you kind of learn a lot from it. I mean, as you go, you know, in that, you know, you don't really mess around that much with comedy's venue. You don't want to play a football stadium or whatever.
What's the biggest place you've ever performed at?
Well, Blue Collar Comedy Tour, we hold the record where the Predators play hockey in Nashville. And
how many people is that?
20,000.
Woo! That's a lot of people.
Something. And Elton John held the record before we broke it. And the reason we broke it is we were in a center stage in the middle, and there's only 4 of us doing stand-up, so nobody will ever have a smaller stage.
Wow.
For that
That's
big
hilarious.
a show there.
Right. How could they?
And that was right before we filmed Blue Collar 1.
Dude, Josh Wolf showed me a picture when he opened up for Larry the Cable Guy. He opened up at some football arena. He's on stage and he takes a selfie out looking at the audience. It's the craziest thing you've ever seen in your life. See if you can find it. Josh Wolf opening up for Larry the Cable Guy selfie. I don't even know if he put it online. He showed it to me on his phone. It's fucking bananas. There's 50,000 people there. You know, 50,000 people.
Oh yeah, he was doing crazy numbers,
insane numbers.
Yep.
And didn't even talk about it. You know, there was a lot of people that were hating on him. He couldn't be a nicer guy.
He's also a great pace, rhythm, and timing one-liner guy.
Yes.
You know, and as good as it gets. I've seen him just beat crowds to death.
Funny dude.
And gifted, and also has done it. You know, he's totally paid his dues. You know,
100%. I met him in 92, I think.
Well, you've done him longer than I have.
Holy shit, look at that fucking crowd.
Right. Yeah, I haven't played this place.
Look at that fucking crowd.
Well, that's got to be Nebraska, right? So, right, everybody's wearing red. That's got to be Memorial Stadium in Lincoln, Nebraska.
That is one of the most insane crowds I've ever seen in my life. But it makes sense. He's got great fucking timing, man. And I met him, like I said, in '92, I think, at the Comedy Works in Montreal when Jimbo used to run the joint. And he was a great guy, man. Back then, even back then, he was I think he was a radio personality in Florida at the time. You know, he's just
and
getting on the
Larry
road.
the Cable Guy was a character he did in that, and that he would bring into a show for one joke, and it kind of just took over.
Fucking crazy, and people don't know. Like he's Dan Whitney. He's like a regular person,
right? Regular comic.
Yeah, but he's trapped.
Right.
He is Larry the Cable Guy
trapped
for
in a
life,
place you'd like to be trapped, right?
Oh yeah,
a place where you're making $30 million a year.
But it's like this Marvelous Mrs. Maisel thing, except that's who he actually is. I mean, he doesn't have to wear a fat suit or anything crazy. But
well, his dad was a preacher and a pig farmer from Nebraska.
Wow.
And so he does this a great auctioneer voice where I sold a little Danny Whitney from across the street.
Wow. A preacher and a pig farmer.
Yep.
Holy shit.
Speaking of pigs, the pigs just keep coming back.
Yeah.
Who's going to save the pigs, Joe?
The thing is, you can't save the pigs. You got to kill some of them.
You got to, you know what? That's
pigs
it.
are the ultimate conundrum because, like, it would be nice if we could have, like, some sort of harmony with nature with pigs, but that's not possible. If they're wild, they're fucking up a storm. They're having 2-3 litters a year with 6 to 8 little piglets, and they're just running rampant.
Right.
And they become viable. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think female pigs become viable and can get pregnant after 4 months of life.
4 months. You're exactly right. That's why they make these little bitty pigs. And they had these little bitty pigs too, and they're the cutest things I've ever seen in my life. Oh, they're adorable. And I said, "Can I pick one up?" And they're like, they squeal like a pig. You know, and literally, I picked one up, and they made a noise like I was stabbing a screwdriver into their ear. And I'm like, okay, all right. Well, they're
smart. They get scared. They're smart. It's a crazy thing because like you want to love them, but then if they're taking over your neighborhood, you want to fucking shoot them and kill them. And they're delicious.
And they're delicious. That's their problem. All right? That's the whole problem. They're delicious.
You know how they got into California?
No?
William Randolph Hearst.
Oh, yeah.
That crazy asshole, he used to bring them, and he would populate his forest outside of his home with wild pigs.
Up in
wild boars, Russian boars. Yeah, and go out and fucking shoot them. Like, so if you go to, like, Tehachapi or any of these areas that have wild pigs, like you go to certain areas like towards the middle of near Bakersfield, there's wild pigs out there.
Oh yeah,
that's all William Randolph Hearst wild pigs.
Thanks, Bill.
Yeah, that crazy asshole. He let pigs loose in California. They're everywhere. Big Sur, like Hunter S. Thompson used to hunt wild boar in Big Sur with a fucking machine gun. Those were William Randolph Hearst's wild pigs that had populated
all the way up the coast.
All the way up the coast.
All the way up the coast.
San Jose. There was a fucking news story from San Jose where they were knocking over people's trash cans.
Oh,
and these like
they're huge
tech communities.
They're 800-pound pigs.
Big
out
ass
there
fucking pigs.
Yeah, they're mowing people.
Most of
and
the wild ones aren't that big. The wild ones are like a big wild one's like 300 pounds. The big, really big
not
ones are the ones that are domesticated.
Not in Georgia. They're.
You know what happens there though? They're domesticated and then people let them go. See.
Don't be looking this up on the computer. Don't fuck up my fucking story with the truth.
No. I know about this.
Huge.
One thing I do know about is feral pigs. I've studied them pretty closely.
Why?
Because I'm friends with a lot of people that are professional hunters.
Okay.
And I wanted to know how the fuck they got so big. Like there's a photo of one they called Hogzilla that was from Georgia. It's a fucking enormous pig. But it looks...
What did it weigh?
Look at that motherfucker. King Kong hog from Russia makes Hogzilla look like a baby. See, I'm not buying that. Look how far that guy. Look at the guy's head. See that guy's head? That guy's a mile away. Where the fuck is that guy? That guy could be on top of that thing, and that looks like a German Shepherd.
How much does it weigh?
We have no idea. This is a photograph. Hold on. Let me see that tusks again. Let me see the tusks. It's a big pig, but it doesn't have to be that big. That could be a 300, 400-pound pig. It doesn't even say. Did they weigh it? 1,179 pounds.
That's a big ass pig, dude.
Says who?
Says who?
Says
these guys with the scales.
What website is this?
They've got scales.
What website is this? Wide Open Spaces? That's a pretty reputable website.
Oh, that's not all. The shoulder height.
Yeah,
Hearst 5.5 feet at the shoulder. A
Jesus
pig.
Christ!
I
want to see a picture.
He brought 200 of these, not specifically that one, but it was a Russian boar. that he brought in from Russia, and they ended up breeding with local feral pigs. And, that's how
And they got big.
Yeah, well, here's the thing about boars and pigs and all that jazz. It all comes from the same genus. It's all from something called Sus scrofa. Sus scrofa is all pigs. What's crazy about that is, like, when you see a domestic pig and they look all cute and cuddly and pink and shit,
Right.
when they get loose and they go wandering through the woods, they turn feral and their face changes. Their face gets longer. They grow tusks. Their hair gets thicker.
This one, it says the shoulder height. Is that how high the shoulders
Yeah.
are off the ground?
Right.
Yeah. 5.5 feet.
5.5
Jesus
feet.
Christ, that's so big. That's almost, I'm 3 inches shorter than, or taller than that. 5.5 feet. That's insane. That's this tall on me. So me standing up. Okay, I'm 5'8". Look at this. Watch this. Here's
Boom.
the pig's. Here's the pig's shoulder.
Right
That's
there. That's a
fucking-
big ass pig.
Is that 3 inches?
Right, that's ornery.
Is that like right there? Where's 3 inches? Like right here? That's fucking insane. That's a pig that high? That's insane. That's an elk.
Hogzilla was a shoulder height of 3 feet, so that's almost double. That
Is
doesn't
that
seem
real
right.
though?
Oh,
That doesn't-
man.
So
5.5 feet tall
Seems so
at the
big.
That's so big. But if it was 1,000 pounds, that makes sense because a good elk is like 800 pounds.
Right? No, yeah. A longhorn.
See, these
steer.
guys are so far behind it. That's
Okay, you
this
know
is a
what? Maybe-
bullshit hunter's trick. That's
Right.
a hunter's trick. That
His
looks
hands are
giant.
on its back.
Where? I don't see his hands. Do you see his hands? I don't see his
Yeah,
hands.
not anymore.
Trust me. There's
Look
no
at
hands.
it.
Listen, that guy's in the next.
It's 1,100
He's in the
pounds
next
of
area
pig.
code. That guy's hiding. He's way behind that thing. You're supposed to be right next to it. And if that is a deceptive photo, when you take a photo like that, that is you're doing that on purpose. What you're supposed to do is you're supposed to put your gun or your rifle or your bow and arrow. You lean it on the animal. You stand next to it so that people that know how difficult it is, and people say, "Oh, you're a trophy hunter." No, you're trying to kill a smart, mature animal because that's the one that's healthiest for the population. That's the one you want to take out of the breeding cycle. This is one that's already spread its genes. And hunters respect when someone shoots a mature, older animal. That's
I'm
for
starving.
sure. Yeah, it looks good, right?
I'm hungry.
Those are not that good to eat unless you really know what the fuck you're doing. Like you gotta slow cook that motherfucker. That one you want to do low. You want to brine that bitch. Get them in a big old vat of salt water with brown sugar and garlic, and just
Something.
let them soak for a while.
This article is sort of saying it could be bullshit.
Could be bullshit. I'm telling you,
Could
that
be.
guy's
It
too
could be.
far away. You got to listen to me. When you
Russian.
see a guy that's that far away, what are you saying about Russians, bro? That guy's near the bumper of that
Saying they
fucking car.
lie about their pig size.
Look at where his shoulders are. They line up almost with the
Right.
bumper of that fucking
He does.
car.
He looks tiny.
He's way behind that pig. I'm
Look at
telling
him
you.
in relation to the size of the car.
Exactly.
He's like a third grader.
Exactly. It doesn't make sense.
Yep.
This guy is hiding. He's hiding behind that pig. If you wanted people to know the actual perspective, you'd
You'd lay
see
on the
that.
pig.
If he had a rifle leaning up against that pig and the rifle looked tiny, you'd be like, "Holy shit, that's a giant pig."
Yeah.
But there's nothing in that photo that represents an actual perspective. You would have to be standing right. Look, he's hiding. He was, "Oh, I can't even see." Bitch, you could see. That ain't a 5.5 foot tall pig.
Well, that pig's 6'1", laying down in this picture.
Yeah, in that
Yeah.
picture. That
These
guy's
are-
on his knees.
This is the only evidence that they have of this dead one. That means that the werewolf we have in the
Yeah.
lobby could be real too.
That werewolf's 1,000 pounds. It's even bigger than this pig. Yeah, it's stupid. That's what people do, man. People take pictures of animals. They hide. It's in the hunting world. It's called a grip and grin. Take a photo, like you hold a deer and you like push them way out. People do that with fish too. Like you caught a big bass, you
Right.
take that big bass, you put it way in front of you. It looks gigantic.
Right.
But if you take that big bass, you're like, "Hey, look at my big bass."
Right.
That's a confident person.
Right.
Confident person's got that bass behind him. Like,
That's
look at that
right.
motherfucker. Do you know how big that is? Wrong. Bigger. Wrong.
Wrong.
Keep guessing.
Doesn't matter.
This guy's a liar. The guy with holding it out in front of him, he's showboating. I'm not buying it.
Showboating.
That fucking pig's 300 pounds. That's a baby pig. That's one
And
of
me
Whitney,
and Joe Rogan are against it.
Whitney Cummings' pig's brothers and sisters. Got
Right.
loose. They shot it.
So I saw her right after that. I told you. I'm like, you're not going to believe this shit, Whitney. I have pictures of your pig. And I
did she
showed it
say?
to her on the phone, and she just flipped the fuck out.
Ah. Yeah, she's that lady loves animals for real.
She's, yep.
Whew, God bless her fiance. He's in for a long run of animal husbandry.
My friend's wife, if she sees an animal that's dead and it's winter,
She'll bury it?
She'll put it in her freezer.
Oh, God. Wait for it to thaw and then bury it?
And wait for the ground to thaw and then dig a hole and bury it.
Jesus, that's deep. Whitney wouldn't do that.
No, I don't know anybody else.
She takes it to the next level, this lady. Yeah, that's taking it to the next level. You got to accept there's a cycle of life. You don't have to, like, just leave it outside for something to eat.
Yeah.
That's what you're supposed to do.
What I do.
Well, there's a reason for that. Those animals, they need to stay alive, too. The animals that eat dead animals, they need to stay alive, too.
Right.
There's a whole cycle.
Vultures.
Not just vultures, rats. You know, there's a lot of carrion, a lot of
Here's something
scavengers.
interesting as this show gets drunker and drunker. I grow Meyer lemons at my place. And so I look at the lemons, and something has eaten the rind off the lemon and left the lemon hanging on the tree in perfect condition.
Huh.
And I'm like, well, that's odd. And then I see one little group of perfectly peeled lemons on the ground, and then there's 2 more lemon pods on the tree, perfect lemons, no rind. I'm like, what the fuck is this? This is yesterday. This is how I spent yesterday. This isn't memories from the past, which I have almost none of, but yesterday. And so we looked it up, and it's called a roof rat. And they love specifically Meyer lemons, which is what these were, and they love the rind, but they don't like the sourness of the fruit. So they just eat the they just eat the rind and leave the fruit hanging on the tree, and it was just baffling, really, when I first saw it. But
look at that. They do the exact opposite with oranges.
Right. And we also have blood oranges. And so they'll put a little hole in them, eat all the fruit out of it, and leave the husk hanging on the tree with nothing on the inside. I'm like,
dicks.
Jesus Christ.
Fucking dicks.
So now when I eat an orange or a lime or whatever, I'm like, throw the rinds out there. Save the fucking fruit. You know, I really don't like to kill anything.
Dude, I have a peach tree. I maybe ate 3 peaches the whole time I've been living in this fucking house. I've been living in that house since 2003. These goddamn squirrels eat my peaches.
Right.
They eat every fucking peach I've ever grown. Look at that. Look at these rats. Look at what's left there. They dug a hole in that shit.
Right.
I literally never get to eat peaches.
Yeah.
These
I have
cunty goddamn squirrels.
I have all these things going on in my house right now.
I have
because of
coyote
these
problems.
They're called roof rats.
I got serious coyote problems.
Yep.
I have no more chickens. Coyotes killed all of my chickens in one fell swoop. You ready for this? They killed the last 9 chickens. I had to transfer to them because my chicken coop burnt to the ground. So we had to get a smaller coop.
And you're blaming that on the coyotes?
No.
All right,
The chickens escaped, and we saved the chickens, and we got them to this other coop after the fire. And it wasn't as reinforced as the original coop. The original coop, I had hired a guy who's a carpenter to build me a nice coop, and he did a great job. And the coyotes were on the roof one night chewing at it, and I had a death perch set up on my porch. I had my Hoyt out there. I had arrows, rangefinder. I even laid bait out in my yard waiting for these cunts. I was ready. I was going full Rambo. But I lost my patience, and I'm a busy man. I got a lot of things to do, so I abandoned the project.
Right.
Then the fire came along. Fire burnt my fucking chicken coop down to the ground. We put these chickens in another coop, and these coyotes tore that coop apart. And they did it when we weren't home, and we came home as just feathers. They were all gone, all 9 of them. Part of me admires them. Part of me is like, these little wolves are surviving in the suburbs.
They're trying to figure this shit out.
They figured it out, man. They win.
Fucking break into this thing or die.
My wife was getting uncomfortable because you're basically making your house a target. They're on the roof right next to the house. These little small predators are chewing at the roof of the chicken coop before the fire happened. And it was like that was when I decided to go to war. I didn't fully committed to war because I didn't get I was going to get a subsonic 22. That's the way to go. Because you ever hear a subsonic 22? It sounds like this. Tack, tack. Doesn't sound like anything, but it's lethal. I had a coyote, but I don't think it's legal inside city limits. Like, I don't even think I should be saying that I wanted to shoot it with a rifle. It's probably like a criminal intent idea, but I never really considered it, and I definitely never bought one. But I was ready to fuck one up with a bow and arrow. But now it's over. They won. They figured it out. The fire opened up the door, and they after the fire they were real sketchy, real loud, and because they were trying to figure out what the fuck is going on, because like all the brush was gone, so probably the rabbits were missing and the rats were missing.
Of course they were.
Yeah. We're gonna say, Jamie? Yeah, it was. It's weird. It came home and see just feathers everywhere, man. Just feathers, like someone just sliced a few pillows and just shook them all over the yard. Like fuck, you know.
We should look back and try to figure out what we should have closed with.
That's a good way to close. We can close with murdered chickens. We got a show tonight. Ron White will be with me. All shows are sold out.
All going well.
The show is sold out. This weekend I'm at Austin, Cap City Comedy Club. That's sold the fuck out too, with George Perez, who's goddamn hilarious, and Andrew Santino. Also a murderer.
What nights are you there?
Friday and Saturday. Are you in town?
Saturday. No.
Damn it.
No, my place is under construction. I'm redoing my house.
Ron White, intercontinental man of mystery, travels all over the globe, homes in many mysterious locations. Don't you have a place in Atlanta too?
I sold that and bought the place in Austin.
I like it. I like the move. I like where you like to go. Two of my favorite spots, Atlanta and Austin.
Right,
Two of my
you can ease into them and have fun.
Favorite spots. Yeah. I could live in either or.
It's easy to get connected to the music vibe in Austin,
yes.
You know, and figure out real quick who you really love to see. And
so. Sure. But I like Atlanta too. Yeah. I don't know. I love both of them. All right, Ron White, you're a bad motherfucker. It's an honor to call you a friend. I appreciate you dearly.
Back at you.
Holla! That's it, fuckers. We'll see you soon. More show tomorrow.
Night, termite.
See ya.